Chapter 2147. Blood was dripping from the bottom of the skull. Not far away, on the grassland riddled with holes, lay a headless body. This scene was so shocking. As long as one wasn't an idiot, they would be able to tell that this girl had killed someone. But the problem was the devil chi and spiritual energy fluctuations on the person lying on the ground had yet to dissipate. He was clearly a leaving aperture realm cultivator. Furthermore, he was a leaving aperture realm cultivator who had fallen into the demonic path. And the person holding the head in front of him was just a golden core stage young girl. When Sun Yuanzhou landed on the ground, his legs felt weak, as if he was stepping on something solid. On the contrary, it was Mu Yan who spoke first. "Dean Kong, many thanks for coming to our rescue. I'm guessing that Zhao Xiong's accomplices will be summoned soon. I'll need Dean Kong's help in the following matters." Kong Yuanzhou opens his mouth. With great difficulty, he opens his mouth, but it's not to answer Mayan's question. "Miss June, this person was killed by you." Mayan nods. How did you kill him?" Kong Yuanzhou originally wanted to blurt out, "How is this possible?" but when it reached his mouth, he changed it with great difficulty. Mu Yan pondered for a moment, first shatter his dantian, then explode his heart, then cut off his head, and kill him just like that. What the fuck, he was killed just like that. Why did you say it as if you had killed an ant in the gold core stage? That was a leaving aperture realm cultivator. Leaving aperture stage. Mu Yan, Dean Kong. Kong Yuanzhou finally calmed himself down and came back to his senses. At this time, he could already feel the rage and turbulent spiritual energy fluctuations from afar, and his face turned cold. "Miss June, please leave this place immediately. I'll handle the rest." Mu Yan slightly frowns, as if she wants to say something. Right at this moment, Zhou Daoyi also hurried over. Upon learning that it was Mu Yan who killed a leaving aperture realm cultivator, he was so shocked that his eyeballs nearly popped out of their sockets. But both of them advised Mayan to go back first. Kong Yuanzhou said anxiously, "The one who came might be the Marquis of Dingwa, Chu Xinyan. Miss June, please leave this place first." No matter what, he must not let Chu Xinyan know that June Mayan is Yi Liangqin. Zhao Xiong was killed by the two of them. As for Chu Xinyan's side, the rest would be handled by them. "Miss June." Mu Yan purses her lips and finally nods lightly. Only now does Kong Yuanzhou realize that because the night is hazy, he didn't see that Mayan's complexion is abnormally pale. Even his lips were stained with blood. His lips were pale, as though he was on the verge of death. "Miss June, are you all right?" As soon as Sun Yuanzhou finished speaking, a figure descended from the sky like a bolt of lightning and landed in front of them. Kong Yuanzhou and Zhou Daoyi were shocked. Who is it? Could it be that Chu Xinyan had arrived so quickly? On the contrary, when Mu Yan sees the person who has come, her body, which has already reached its limit, sways and heavily falls forward. Mu Yan. In a flash, a figure appeared in front of her and scooped her into his arms. At the same time, another figure also rushed over on a flying sword. As soon as she sees Mayan covered in blood being held in someone's arms, she exclaims, "Junior sister, what happened to you?" Mayan opens her heavy eyelids and sees two familiar figures swaying in front of her. Her tense heart finally settles down. "Senior brother, junior uncle, it's really good to have you two here." Chapter 2148. Mu Yan knows that she has too many secrets on her body. Shen musician, Qi Huang, the fat rabbit, all of these can't be exposed. Most importantly, there's still her Xiao Bao. Once she dies, everything in the space, the secret of the Tian Mo Qin, everything will be exposed. How can she allow it? In the battle with Zhao Xiong just now, Mu Yan really exhausted the last trace of her divine sense and spiritual power. At this moment, she's weaker than a 5-year-old child. Anyone, as long as they covet her secrets, want to rob them, want to kill them, she won't even have the slightest power to resist. And at this moment where she doesn't have the slightest power to protect herself, apart from Di Mingju and Xiao Bao, the only one she can trust are these close relatives. Her fellow apprentices, her younger martial uncle, her nether flame army. Amidst Luo Yunxiao's sudden tightening embrace and Yun Ruhan's anxious shouts, Mu Yan falls into a deep coma. This time, Mu Yan is unconscious for 10 days and 10 nights before she wakes up. As soon as she opens her eyes, she sees Xiao Bao curled up beside her like a wounded cub. His eyes are closed, his long eyelashes lightly trembling with drops of water on them. Even if he's asleep, his little hands are still tightly clutching the hem of her clothes. Mu Yan's heart suddenly clenches, it's so painful that she can hardly breathe. This kind of sleeping posture, this kind of uneasy appearance, has not appeared on Xiao Bao for a long time. In the past, when the two of them were in the cave, Xiao Bao felt insecure like this. Unless he's next to her, leaning against her, he would curl up into a ball, trembling incessantly. Mu Yan lovingly picks him up, and gently kisses his wet eyelashes. The long, butterfly-like eyelashes flutter a few times, slowly lifting up, revealing a pair of beautiful eyes like blue glass beads. Xiao Bao, I'm sorry, Nyangqin made you worry. Xiao Bao stares at Mu Yan in a daze, suddenly flattening his lips. He doesn't make the slightest sound, but tears roll down with pitter-patter. The hand clutching Mu Yan's clothes doesn't loosen, but trembles fiercely. This kind of silent crying, this kind of appearance of being infinitely wronged yet enduring and unwilling to vent, makes Mayan's heart clench into a ball. She hugged Xiao Bao tightly in her arms and said in a hoarse voice, Xiao Bao, don't cry. It's Mother's fault. Mother will apologize to you, okay? Mother. Mother is very good. Mother is the best. Xiao Bao sobbed, Mother defeated the bad guy, Mother didn't abandon Xiao Bao. But Mother, Xiao Bao. Xiao Bao was really scared. At that time, Xiao Bao really thought Mother was going to abandon Xiao Bao. I won't. Mu Yan wipes away the tears on his face and softly says, to Nyangqin, Xiao Bao is the most important and most treasured treasure. How could Nyangqin be willing to abandon you? Xiao Bao burrowed into her bosom and hugged her tightly. He didn't say anything, and only after a long time did he gently nod. However, those pair of ice-blue eyes were burning with a scorching light. The one in the wrong isn't Nyangqin, but Xiao Bao. Xiao Bao was too weak, so he couldn't help his mother and even became a burden to her. In Xiao Bao's mind, the words that Di Mingju once said to him in private, making him make a choice. At that time, he chose to refuse without hesitation. But now, he wants to see his father as soon as possible, he wants to tell him that he has changed his mind. After crying for a while, Xiao Bao returns to normal. Baidu search the UC Book League website, letting you experience the latest and fastest chapters, all of which are updated in seconds. Chapter 2149. Mu Yan checks her body and finds that she has recovered. There are no sequelae left in her body. Her peak gene Dan cultivation has also stabilized. She can't help but be overjoyed. Little sister, you're finally awake. Little sister, how do you feel? The people of the Xiaoyao school hear the noise and rush in like a swarm of bees. Everyone's face is filled with joy. Only Luo Yu's face is still a little pale, which is completely different from his usual lively temperament. He quietly kneels by Mu Yan's bed, some emotions that were originally absent in his eyes. Unfortunately, he doesn't have time to say, "Sixth sister, I'm sorry." Mu Yan snappily says, I just comforted Xiao Bao. Don't tell me you want me to comfort you again. Xiao Qi, look at how old Xiao Bao is. How old are you? Xiao Bao says coldly, Xiao Bao is 5 years old. I'll be 6 soon. After a pause, he says awkwardly, Xiao Bao has grown up. He doesn't need mother to comfort him. Xiao Qi, do you need it? Luo Yu opens his mouth, his belly full of sadness, guilt, and melancholy had all been washed away. Okay. When did he fall to the point of being looked down upon by a baby? Luo Yu gloomily says, if I wasn't so weak, Sixth Sister wouldn't have to. Mu Yan gently touches his head and interrupts him. She also looks at Xiao Bao and the other people of the Xiaoyao school. In this world where the weak are prey to the strong, who hasn't been powerless? Who hasn't been desperate and compromised? It's not shameful to be too weak when you can't beat them. What's shameful is to be immersed in the past and regret and stagnate. We, the people of the Xiaoyao school, don't need such cowardly emotions. Xiaoqi only needs to know that every battle can let us crazily absorb experience and make us stronger step by step. Until one day, the 7 of us stand on the top of the mountain. In this world, no one can hurt us or the people we care about. That's enough. Luo Yu's eyes suddenly brighten. The gloominess and depression on his body dissipate little by little in his bright eyes. I understand. Sixth Sister, I won't let you all down. The other people of the Xiaoyao school show relieved smiles. Even Xiao Bao, although he doesn't quite understand, unconsciously looks more relaxed. Mu Yan looks around, where's Junior Master? That day, before I fainted, I clearly saw Junior Martial Uncle. Ling Yuma said gloomily, Little Martial Uncle sent you back and set up a formation to heal you before leaving. I don't know what youngest Martial Uncle is busy with. He used to stay with us for a few days in the Soaring Dragon, but now he's back to his usual secretive self in the Xiaoyao sect. Mu Yan was puzzled. What kind of array could heal injuries? Why hadn't she heard of it before? When he looked up, he saw that Yun Ruhan's expression was a little strange. He could not help but ask, eldest senior brother, what's wrong? Did youngest Martial Uncle leave any words behind? Yun Ruhan seemed to be startled. She abruptly turned around and laughed dryly, No. No, Junior Martial Uncle didn't leave anything behind. Junior Sister, you must be hungry since you just woke up. Let's go prepare something for you. Without waiting for Mu Yan's reply, he hurriedly left. Chu Moli thoughtfully looked at Mu Yan, then looked at Yun Ruhan's hurried back. He turned his wheelchair around and followed her out. Under the moonlight, the courtyard of Tianlang Palace appeared to be magnificent and magnificent. Chapter 2150. Yun Ruhan was in no mood to appreciate this beautiful scenery. Instead, she stared blankly at the sky with a frown. Suddenly, a familiar voice came from behind, eldest senior brother, have you also noticed? Yun Ruhan jumped in fright. When she turned around and saw that it was Chu Moli, she heaved a sigh of relief. Third brother, why are you appearing and disappearing so mysteriously these days? When Chu Moli had appeared behind him just now, he hadn't noticed it at all. What did you say I discovered? Chu Moli calmly looked at him. Soon after, the corners of his lips curled up, revealing a warm smile. Little Martial Uncle. Yun Ruhan's expression suddenly stiffened, and she stuttered, Third brother, don't talk nonsense. How could I find out that Uncle Master? Uncle Master is, suddenly, his voice paused, and he asked in bewilderment, You discovered it long ago? Chu Moli shook his head helplessly. It's that obvious. Only a group of slow people like you wouldn't notice it. After saying that, the wheelchair slowly turned in a circle, actually planning to leave. Third bro, wait a minute. What should I do? Solid. Then, Junior Marshall Uncle, do you think you can influence Little Marshall Uncle's decision? Can he influence Junior Sister's decision? No, I can't. So, is there any other way besides dressing it cold? Yun Ruhan stopped and let out a long sigh. Yes. All of this wasn't something that he could control, nor was it something that any human could control. He'd better pretend that he didn't know anything. Wait a minute. Yun Ruhan glared at Chu Moli, who was already far away. Did this guy chase after me just to mock me for being slow? What salad? All of you have learned bad things from Bai Xia. After adjusting herself, Mayan first enters the inheritance space. She had originally promised little Joe's master that she would go inside to learn and cultivate every day, but in the end, she had not gone in for 10 days. He wondered if little Joe's master was angered to death. Would he never come to the inheritance space again and never teach her again? However, when she enters the inheritance space, Mu Yen finds that Han Chuzhou is inside. However, when he sensed her coming in, he didn't have the time to pay attention to her. He just immersed himself in concocting the pill formula. Compared to 10 days ago, Han Chuzhou's appearance can only be described as miserable. His body was covered in black ash, and a few pieces of his hair and beard had been burned off. Her originally smooth and tender cheeks also became dry and rough as if she was dehydrated. Under her 2 round eyes, there were unconcealable dark circles. Mu Yan was shocked by Han Chuzhou's appearance. If a cultivator didn't rest for a short period of time, or if they meditated for a long time, they wouldn't show any signs of fatigue. Only by using spiritual power or divine soul for a long period of time would one be in a miserable state like a mortal who had not slept for several days and nights. And with Han Chuzhou's appearance, it is clear that she hasn't slept for dozens or even hundreds of days. The time-flow ratio of the inheritance space and the outside world is 12:1. Could it be that Han Chuzhou has been inside since he fainted? Not even a moment of rest. Hearing Mayan's question, Han Chuzhou said indifferently, I'm not going to sleep, what's the point of sleeping? My good disciple, don't disturb me. I'm busy right now. Go and refine pills by yourself. I'll accompany you after I refine the advanced version of the detoxification pill. Mu Yan curiously looks at the floor full of medicine. Almost all of them were immortal medicines that she had never seen before in the cultivation continent. They should be immortal medicines that only existed in the cultivation continent. Of course, these immortal medicines were just illusions created by Han Chuzhou in the inheritance space. It's impossible for Mu Yan to bring them to the cultivation continent. Chapter 2151. On the bluestone bricks next to the immortal medicine, Han Chuzhou engraved numerous talisman arrays. He engraved one, then another, then turned his head and frowned, crossing out one of them. After fiddling with a few talisman arrays, he went back to explore the immortal medicine with his divine sense. Then, he frowned and wrote something on the paper. Han Chuzhou's research has completely exceeded Mu Yan's knowledge of alchemy. After a few glances, she went back to continue refining her elixirs. More than 10 hours passed in a blink of an eye. Mu Yan looked at the successfully refined elixirs and took a long sigh. With the alchemy furnace and inheritance that Han Chuzhou gave her, she made rapid progress in alchemy. But it seems that something is still missing, resulting in her being unable to meet Jiu Shifu's requirements. Jiu Shifu is obviously a perfectionist. The first point is the purity of the elixir. In the Shuzhen continent's market, the purity of ordinary elixirs can probably be swallowed. It can reach 60%. A powerful alchemy master can reach 70% or 75%. And now, under the premise that Mayan doesn't use the cloudy sea, the purity of the elixir can reach 80%. If such an elixir is taken out to be tested, it will definitely shock a lot of people. An elixir with 85% purity can almost be said to have no Dan poison, and there will be no backlash. But in Han Chuzhou's eyes, an elixir with 85% purity is just a waste. It will be a waste to eat it. Han Chuzhou's requirement is that, except for poisonous elixirs and elixirs that have special side effects, the purity of other elixirs must be 85%, 90% is passable, and 95% is qualified to be Han Chuzhou's apprentice. Mu Yan used the magic weapon in the inheritance space to test the newly refined elixir. 83%. Mu Yan frowned, it didn't even reach the passing line of Zhou Shifu. After refining all day, Mu Yan was a little tired and inexplicably upset. She didn't choose to continue refining elixirs, but left the inheritance space to sleep. However, this sleep is very restless. Mayan vaguely hears the sound of crying incessantly ringing in her ears. She stood in the void, looking in the direction of the crying. However, her eyes seemed to be covered with a layer of fog, and she couldn't see clearly. He could only faintly see someone lying on the bed, surrounded by a frightening black aura. There were many people kneeling around the bed, and it was from these kneeling people that the cries came. Mayan is in a dream, everything is chaotic, and she can't clearly see who the person on the bed is. But looking at him and listening to his cries, he felt an indescribable pain and panic spread throughout his body. Mayan exerts all her strength to head towards the bed, wanting to take a look at that person's appearance. Slowly, it got closer and closer. The originally indistinct sobbing voice seemed to be mixed with a few muffled syllables, medicine, antidote. The fog in front of her seemed to be suddenly pushed aside, and the man's appearance became clear in an instant. However, before Mu Yan could take a closer look, she seemed to have been struck by something, and suddenly woke up. Mu Yan sat on the bed, gasping for breath. She vaguely felt that she had dreamed of some suffocating scene, but when she opened her eyes, she couldn't remember anything. Mother! Xiao Bao threw himself into her arms and looked at her worriedly. Mother, your forehead is sweating a lot. What's wrong? Mu Yan gently touched his little face. Mother had a nightmare, I was a little scared. Chapter 2152. Xiao Bao blinks his big watery eyes, the bottom of his eyes full of surprise. It turns out that Nyangqin also has nightmares. Nyangqin gets scared when she has nightmares. Nyangqin is not afraid. Xiao Bao hugs her tightly. Xiao Bao will accompany Nyangqin and drive away the nightmares. He used to be like this. When he has a nightmare, as long as he opens his eyes and sees Nyangqin, he won't be afraid. Mu Yan's smile softens, as if it's about to melt. Nyangqin is no longer afraid when she sees Xiao Bao. Xiao Bao rubs himself in her arms, and says somewhat sullenly, "Why hasn't Daddy come to see us yet?" After saying that, he shows an embarrassed expression. Grabbing Mu Yan's fingers, he whispers, "Nyangqin, Xiao Bao isn't dragging Daddy back. Xiao Bao is just missing Daddy." Mu Yan hugs and kisses him, revealing a disappointed expression at the same time. That's right, she hasn't seen Di Ming for a long time. It's not just Xiao Bao who misses Daddy, she also misses her fiancé. Xiuxian Continent, Polar Domain. Elder Chang, Han Yi, Ying, and Army Breaker hurriedly rush into Medicine King Hall. The trio's faces are full of anxiety, their bloodshot eyes showing that their nerves are stretched to the extreme. As soon as they enter Medicine King Hall, Han Yi shouts, Medicine King, hasn't the detoxification pill been developed yet? So noisy, so noisy. Han Chuzhou's disheveled and dirty figure appears out of thin air in Medicine King Hall, angrily saying, "Didn't I tell you that if it's developed, it will be sent to Spirit Wind Palace?" Han Yi hoarsely says, "But I'm afraid that it'll be too late if it's any later. The Star Wolf has already shown a mutation phenomenon. At most, it'll be completely swallowed by the poison in a moment. At that time, I'm afraid that even if there's an antidote, it would be too late. Jun Shang, he. At this point, Han Ye's voice becomes incomparably hoarse, almost unable to continue. Elder Chang wipes his face, a pair of turbid eyes staring at Han Chuzhou. Xiao Zhou, many people in the other domains have heard that Jun Shang was poisoned, and it's a poison with no antidote. The people of the Nether Realm even directly came to our door to disturb us. For the sake of the stability of the polar domain, in order to not let these people see any clues, ruler had no choice but to personally come out and intimidate them with the might of thunder to scare them away. Even after returning, Jun Shang's performance is still the same as before, as if the poison has no effect on him, but I can see that Jun Shang's hand has already begun to mutate. I don't know how long Jun Shang can last, how long Polar Domain can last. Without Jun Shang, Polar Domain is finished. Han Yi suddenly kneels down with a thump, choking with sobs. Medicine Wang Darren, I kowtow to you, I beg you to save Jun Shang. In the past, I was insensible and offended you. As long as you can save Jun Shang, I, Han Yi, will work like an ox or a horse for you for the rest of my life. Without hesitation, Ing Mei and defeating armies also knelt down. Seeing that even Chang Lao was trembling and wanted to kneel, Han Chuzhou almost went crazy. He pulled Elder Chang up and cursed, "You bunch of bastards. Do you really think that I would stand by and watch that little bastard Deming die? I want to teach him a lesson, but I will personally teach him a lesson. How can it be someone else's turn to kill him?" Speaking up to here, Han Chuzhou's voice suddenly becomes dry, but the antidote is not yet successful. There is a kind of toxin in the poison that is alive, it will reproduce on its own. Only in small amounts, it's fine. We can use the method of harming the enemy by 1,000 and ourselves by 800 to erase it in one fell swoop. Chapter 2153. But once there are more, this kind of reproduction will be endless and seamless. Hey, why am I telling you this? You won't understand. Although Han Chuzhou said that they can't understand, Elder Chang and the others still understood what they wanted to know. Their faces were ashen and full of despair. Even Han Chuzhou can't solve the poison, can anyone else in this world do it? Gone, could it be that Jun Shang can't be saved like this? Han Chuzhou grabbed his hair and angrily said, Okay, who are you showing this face to? It's not time yet, Di Ming is not dead yet, right? As long as he is not dead, not completely mutated, there is still a chance. Get out of my Medicine King Hall, this father is going to study the detoxification plan. After sending away Elder Chang and the others, Han Chuzhou quickly returned to the inheritance space. As soon as Mayan came in, she was shocked by the scene in front of her. Zhou Shifu, what happened to you? She saw that Han Chuzhou's scalp was scratched and bloody. His hair fell to the ground. His white and tender hands were stained with blood at this time, and there were scratches everywhere, but he didn't feel it. Zhou Shifu, what's wrong? There's no way to kill him, why can't I kill him? Han Chuzhou's eyes stared blankly and his mouth uttered a hoarse murmur. Impossible. Is there really no cure for the poison? Isn't that kid dead? Mayan took out the spiritual water in the space and gave him a little. Then, she infused her spiritual power into his body. Seeing that his mind was clear, she asked, Zhou Shifu, what can't be killed? What is the poison? Han Chuzhou grabbed her hand and said with grievance, Good disciple, if this master can't solve the poison, I will be laughed at by that group of people for a lifetime. And this master is the sacred ancestor Medicine King, how can I not even solve a trivial poison? What kind of poison is it? Zhou Shifu, you are stumped. Han Chuzhou, like a bamboo tube pouring beans, said the poison and his own detoxification plan, as well as the problems he encountered. But he was on the verge of collapse and wanted to talk. He didn't believe that Mayan could help him. Mu Yan doesn't even understand a lot of the things he says. In fact, the poison in Han Chujia's mouth requires many complicated alchemy talisman arrays, a powerful and uncontrollable alchemy fire, and a variety of immortal medicines. Up until now, Mayan hasn't even seen an immortal herb. However, after listening to Han Chujia's narration, Mu Yan frowned and suddenly said, "Jiu Shifu, you said that the poison will multiply. Then, can the medicine we decipher also multiply indefinitely? Will it be useful? How can an immortal medicine that has already been refined be able to reproduce endlessly? Immortal herbs and spirit herbs won't work, but what about goo worms?" Han Chuzhou was shocked. Goo worm. Mu Yan takes out the Tian Mo Qin and the golden silkworm goo. The Tian Mo Qin gently plucks the strings, Summer Bug's language of ice, activates. To devour. The originally small, almost invisible golden silkworm goo suddenly began to split at a rapid speed. 1, 2, 4, 100, 1,000. Han Chuzhou looked at the scene in front of her in disbelief, then looked up at Mu Yan. You can control goo. No, this can no longer be described as controlling goo worms. In the Shushan continent, there are people who are good at raising goo worms. Han Chuzhou herself raised a lot of poisonous and medicinal goo worms. Chapter 2154. But even if it's the most professional sect, it can't make the goo split and multiply in an instant, right? Han Chuzhou suddenly thought of something. His eyes lit up and he excitedly raised his voice. "Good disciple, in addition to this golden silkworm goo, can you control other goo to split quickly?" Mu Yan thought for a moment. Low-level goo should be fine, but I can't control the golden silkworm mother goo. With the upgrade of Hershan musician skills, Summer Bug's language of ice has become much better than when she could only control a small insect. However, most of the time, Mu Yan would use the Seven-Ju Sword Spirit, Cloud Birth Sea, Floating Like a Dream, and so on. As for the Summer Bug's language of ice skill, she doesn't use it much. Her mastery of the skill is naturally not much better. Han Chuzhou was overjoyed. She quickly left the inheritance space and came back after a while. She was holding a black devourer. He is holding a small black box in his hand. He carefully takes out a goo from the box that is not much bigger than the golden silkworm goo. "Good disciple, precious disciple, try to see if you can make these goo grow." Mu Yan nods and gently plucks the Tian Mo Qin in her hand. After a while, the scene just now reappeared. In the blink of an eye, the original one goo has become thousands, tens of thousands. Good. That was great. Ha 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 ha, the detoxification pill can be refined. Han Chuzhou is so excited that he is dancing with joy. The beard on his face has fallen, but he didn't notice it. Mu Yan looks at her Jiu Shifu in surprise. After the long white beard has fallen, why does his face look smaller than Shao Qi? However, Han Chuzhou can't care about anything at this time. After laughing for a while, he immediately exclaims, "Oh, no, you are not in the Shushan continent. Who will control the goo?" "Good disciple, hurry, tell Master where you are. Master will send someone to pick you up. Time is pressing, it's too late." Mu Yan smiles softly. "Jiu Shifu, in fact, these goo don't need to hear the sound of the zither to split. I just need to give them instructions before they are used in the medicine." This was the method Mu Yan used to deal with Lu Ruo's senior sister, Qin Shuxiu. However, it was much more difficult to control the goo worms through commands than using zither music to control them. After controlling 3 to 5 of them, her divine sense would be depleted and she would need to rest for a few days. But Ninth Shifu is so good to her, Mu Yan feels that it's worth it to rest for a few days. Moreover, for some reason, when he heard the poison mentioned by his ninth master and told him that the person couldn't be saved, he felt a chill run down his spine. Mayan has an inexplicable sense of panic and fear, so she unconsciously agrees. Hopefully, the ninth master would succeed. Divine Wind Palace. Star Wolf, hold on a little longer. Pill King will definitely develop the antidote. Han Yi sits in front of the Star Wolf's bed, holding his hand tightly and shouting in a hoarse voice. The person lying on the bed had a strange scarlet hue to his skin, which was originally white. On his neck, where the ghost bit him, there were even terrifying wrinkles that resembled cracked skin. The Star Wolf opened his mouth, but what came out of his mouth was not a gasp, but a ghastly howl. There was also a disgusting rancid smell in the air. In May, defeating armies, Elder Chang, and many of the Polar Domain's core members were standing in this room. Everyone's face is filled with sorrow. Even if the Star Wolf was usually unruly, often offending people. Chapter 2155. Those who didn't get along with him didn't feel the slightest bit of schadenfreude when they saw his current appearance. Instead, they only felt the fear of the fox mourning the death of the rabbit. That was because they all knew it. The Star Wolf was not the only one afflicted with the stallion ghost poison. There were also sovereign emperors. Soon, the imperial monarchs would become like the Star Wolf. Star Wolf died, but they were only sad. However, once an imperial lord truly mutated, the sky would collapse. Tears of blood dripped from the Star Wolf's eyes. His face, which had started to change, continuously trembled and twisted. Antidote, there will be an antidote. I'm sure I can refine it, right? He grips Han Ye's hand in a death grip, asking again and again with his barely formed voice. He knew he couldn't wait for the antidote. But Jun Shang can. As long as Jun Shang is fine, as long as Jun Shang doesn't die, it's fine even if he goes to hell. But not being able to see Jun Shang in one piece with his own eyes, even if he were to die, he would carry a bone-deep guilt, unable to close his eyes in peace. My lord. Greetings, lord. Suddenly, there was a commotion in the crowd, and they all knelt down. Compared to how they usually kept quiet out of fear, today they couldn't help but raise their heads from time to time and sneak a peek at the person who came. His face was filled with worry and panic that could not be concealed. Star Wolf tried his best to widen his eyes, wanting to see who it was. However, at this moment, there was only a bloody light in his eyes, and he couldn't even see a figure clearly. He had implicated his most revered Jun Shang. Now, even in death, he wouldn't be able to see Jun Shang again. Tears of blood gushed out of his eyes, filled with endless regret and unwillingness. Jun Shang. Jun Shang. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have disobeyed orders, leaving Miss Jun's side. Not only has he wronged Jun Shang, he has also wronged Jun Mayan and the Little Master. That warning of danger represented that Mu Yen and Xiao Bao had fallen into a desperate situation where life and death hung by a thread. He and Jun Shang didn't have the time to rush over. It's possible that that woman and the Little Master have already. Mu Yen and Xiao Bao are fine. The man's low and cold voice suddenly entered the Star Wolf's ears. There were no emotional fluctuations, but it was like a cool breeze blowing away the regret in Star Wolf's heart. His mouth, which had grown fangs, cracked into a ferocious smile. Jun Mayan and the Little Master were still alive. Weren't they irredeemable because of him? That's great, that's really great. Xing Lang lets out a hoarse voice, Jun Shang, you must live on. Miss Jun, they are still waiting for you, subordinate will leave first. Saying that, he turns his head towards Han Yi. Although he can't see clearly, he knows that Han Yi is sitting next to him. The two of them had always been at odds with each other and had done many things to hinder each other. But the brotherly love that they had built up for so many years was not fake. Han Yi. The star wolf's voice becomes more and more indistinct. Horse, kill me. I don't want to become that kind of monster, kill me. Han Ye's tiger-like eyes are red, his voice is so hoarse that he almost can't speak. Xing Lang, hold on a little longer, perhaps Medicine King will arrive soon. Ha, ha ha. If that's the case, do you believe it? Yes. No one on the scene believes such words, even Han Yi himself doesn't believe it. In the Shushin continent, the calamity of the poltergeist ghost has been around for many years. If they could develop a pill that could completely restrain the poison, would they have waited until today? Chapter 2156. Seeing that Han Yi isn't willing to make a move, Star Wolf suddenly struggles to use his claw-like hands to take out an elixir, and slowly stuffs it into his mouth. Han Yi. I already knew that you're not reliable. Fortunately, I've already made preparations. Han Ye's pupils contract when he sees the red elixir. That's the splitting soul pill. Once swallowed, the soul will explode inch by inch. The pain is unimaginable to ordinary people. But as long as he takes it before the mutation, the splitting soul pill can stop Star Wolf from turning into a monster that's neither human nor ghost. Everyone present knew what the outcome of the Star Wolf consuming the soul-splitting pill would be. They want to stop him, but they're powerless. In the end, they can only turn their heads in pain. Jun Shang. Star Wolf can follow you in this life. It's the greatest fortune. It's a pity. Star Wolf. Star Wolf disappoints you. Di Mingju bows his head to look at him. Tears of blood are flowing out from his eyes, and his blue eyes, which have always been cold and without ripples, finally fluctuate a little. His hands are tightly clenched in his sleeves. No one can see that the skin on his hands has already begun to mutate. Star Wolf slowly puts the splitting soul pill in his hand into his mouth. At this moment, a series of hurried shouts suddenly came from the door. Get lost, get lost. What are you blocking this old man for? Report. Report at this time, report my ass. Where's Di Mingju and his dying lackey? Still not bringing this old man over. Damn. Idiot, ask my ass. Di Mingju raises brainless people like you. Hearing this voice, Elder Chang jumps up from the ground. Little Nine, it's Little Nine. Did he refine the antidote? Hurry, bring him in. Han Ye's and Ning Mei's eyes light up. However, everyone's complexion changes when they think that the splitting soul pill has already been swallowed by Star Wolf. Star Wolf, hurry, and spit out the splitting soul pill. The king of medicine is here, Star Wolf, you might be saved. Di Mingju reaches out and grabs something in the air. A man with a dusty face, with half of his hair and eyebrows burnt, is lifted by the neck and carried into the room. Bastard Di Mingju, do you think you're carrying a chicken? This old man is your elder. Elder. The other people in the room didn't wait for Han Chujo to finish scolding, they pulled her over. Lord Medicine King, quickly, Star Wolf thought that there was no chance of survival, so he swallowed the soul-splitting pill. You know, once the soul-splitting pill starts to explode, even immortals can't save you. Not even the antidote. Han Yi still hasn't finished his words. Han Chujo slowly put a pill in Xing Lang's mouth and then gently patted his dantian. Puff! The half-digested soul-splitting pill was directly spat out, and then Han Chujo kicked it aside. After that, he looks at Han Yi contemptuously. What did you just say? Even immortals can't save the soul-splitting pill. Han Ye's face stiffens, then he immediately smiles with delight. What does an immortal count as? You're the sacred ancestor medicine king, you're naturally more powerful than an immortal. This was the first time everyone in the room had witnessed the power of the sacred ancestor medicine king. In the eyes of others, the soul-splitting pill could not be saved even if one died. In the hands of the king pharmacist, it was as easy as blowing off dust. Little Nine, where's the antidote? Did you refine it? Old Chang asks nervously. When Han Chujiu heard this, she took a deep breath and took out 2 blood-red pills from her sleeve. Chapter 2157. Han Chujiu, I don't know if this medicine will work or not. If he dies, don't blame me. Han Yi excitedly rushed over and grabbed the pill. Without thinking, he stuffed it into Star Wolf's mouth. It's okay, it's okay. Anyway, this guy is dying. Let him test the medicine for Jun Shang first. Jun Shang, wait for Star Wolf to confirm the effect of the medicine. What if there is a problem with this medicine? It's enough to poison Star Wolf. Everyone, wait a minute, didn't you just say that you have a deep brotherhood? Is your brotherhood made of paper? Han Chujiu raised her eyebrows. Whose medicine are you saying can poison people? Do you believe that this old man will give you a taste of the poison? Everyone seems to be playing around, but their attention is all focused on Star Wolf. Even Han Chujiu, although she is talking to Han Yi, her eyes are looking at Star Wolf. Her hands are tightly clenched. Her good disciple said that she has ordered the resurrection soul insect. When the medicine melts into the dantian and limbs, it will begin to split. Han Chujiu has lived for so long, but she has never heard of such a technique in the world. Can her good disciple really succeed? Time passed by. A quarter of an hour, an hour, an hour. Star Wolf's eyes are closed. There is no reaction at all, just like a dead body. Han Yi nervously said, Master Medicine, is your medicine reliable? Star Wolf won't be poisoned to death, right? Almost at the moment when his voice fell, Star Wolf's mouth suddenly uttered a painful groan. Under his skin, there are small bumps that are almost invisible to the naked eye. They are constantly bulging and disappearing. While everyone was still in shock, they saw Star Wolf suddenly open his eyes. His blood-red eyes gradually changed to a normal black color. And on his skin, the original mutation, as well as the rotten and smelly wounds, were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. After a short quarter of an hour, Star Wolf slowly stood up from the bed. He stared at his recovered hands. After a long time, he returned to his senses and kneeled in front of Han Chujiu. Thank you, Medicine King. From now on, if Medicine King has an errand, Star Wolf will go through water and tread on fire, even if it means death. Her tears dripped onto the ground, leaving a trail of mist in the air. Most people thought that Xing Lang was thanking Han Chujiu for saving his life. But only Han Yi and a few others who are close to the Star Wolf know that he is grateful to the King of Medicine for refining the antidote for the Bai poison, allowing Di Mingju to live on unscathed. What did you say? This antidote pill was refined by your little disciple? Elder Chang and Han Yi shout in disbelief. No wonder they were surprised. Everyone knows that Han Chujiu's apprentice was accepted in the Shuzhen continent. The people in the cultivation world were at most nihility immortals. No, these people didn't even have immortal energy. Even the people of the Shushan continent were helpless against this poison. How could anyone in the lower realm succeed? Why don't you take a look at whose disciple he is? Han Chujiu's pride is simply too high. Oh, yes, the cost of 2 detoxification pills is not small. Remember to pay for it. This old man and my disciple must pay for it. My disciple is in the Shuzhen continent. I can't send him anything that is too high level. Go and get some low-level crystal stones. If you dare to renege on your debt, The The people in the polar domain are very grateful to Han Chuzhou and his apprentice, so how could they renege on their debt? Although low-level crystal stones are not easy to find in the Shushan continent. Chapter 2158. But even if they have to use all the power of the polar domain, they will definitely get this reward. Han Chuzhou sees that they are so obedient, so he nods his head in satisfaction. His good disciple is good at everything, but she is a little poor. She always wants to sell those inferior elixirs. How can he, the king of medicine's disciple, sell such inferior elixirs? Isn't this damaging his reputation as the king of medicine? This is good, he earned a lot of money for his good disciple. He believes that his good disciple will be very happy. Little Joe, what is your disciple's name? Is it a man or a woman? Old Chang excitedly said, she is not a pseudo-immortal, but she can refine an antidote. She is a rare alchemy genius. You can actually meet such a person. Han Chuzhou is flattered, he almost can't find the north. My disciple is certainly a beautiful girl, her name is... He hasn't finished his words when he suddenly looks at Di Ming and the others. Why are you asking about my disciple's identity? Are you trying to poach me? Or, Di Ming, this peacock wants to hook up with my disciple? I'm telling you, no way. I won't let you taint my precious disciple. Han Chuzhou hasn't finished his words, but old Chang and Han Yi have already sprayed out their tea. Peacock. King of Medicine actually said that their emperor is a peacock. What a joke. Is there such a cold, ruthless, and aloof peacock? Cough, cough. King of Medicine, don't talk nonsense. Han Yi shouts with a red face, our emperor already has a fiancé, who will look at your disciple. Han Chuzhou gets even angrier, my disciple is loved by everyone, she is unparalleled in the world. Who does Di Ming think he is? Why can't he look at her? Everyone, Di Ming lightly says, Tianwu Mountain's phoenix grass and Kunlun wood, as the reward for King of Medicine, is that enough? As soon as this statement comes out, not only Han Chuzhou is stunned, even Han Yi and the others are shocked. Then, there is an irrepressible ecstasy. Jun Shang, you can go deep into Tianwu Mountain and devour it. What happened? My lord, this time you really stepped into the immortal emperor realm. Han Chuzhou looked at the handsome young man in front of her in disbelief. Her facial expression was very complicated. An immortal emperor who was not even 1,000 years old. This was simply unprecedented, and it was possible that no one would be able to do so in the future. He was also the only immortal emperor in the entire Shushan continent. Moreover, Di Ming had fallen into a deep sleep for many years after he had fallen into a trap. If it hadn't been for the mishap back then, his strength would probably have been even stronger, and his breakthrough would have been even faster. Di Ming glanced at his left hand, then slowly pinched it again. At the moment of life and death, he senses that Mayan and Xiao Bao are in danger. The situation at that time made it impossible for him to rush over to help. In the end, he chose to shoulder his own responsibility and believe in Mu Yan. It was that kind of mental breakthrough that allowed him to finally get a glimpse of the heavenly secret of stepping into the immortal emperor realm. Now, although he had not reached the immortal emperor level, he had already taken one step into it. In another year at most, the immortal emperor realm would be completely stabilized. His enhanced divine sense and senses also let him know that Mayan not only survived the crisis, but also grew again. Maybe what Yen Yen said is right. He should believe in her more. Mayan was never his subordinate, not his wife. She doesn't even need to be the mistress of the polar domain. Chapter 2159. She is just her, the one and only woman in the world, but he loves her deeply. Di Mingju collected his thoughts and slowly raised his head. He didn't answer everyone's questions, but looked at Han Chujo. Within a year, Ben Jun will bring phoenix grass and Kunlun wood for Medicine King. Is Medicine King satisfied with this reward? Han Chujo returned to the Medicine King Hall. When he entered the inheritance space, he was still in a trance. So much so that he didn't notice that his little apprentice came in. "Jiu Master, what's wrong?" Mu Yan asked nervously, "Did the antidote not work?" Han Chujo recovered and nodded again and again. "It worked, it worked. My good apprentice, you are really Master's lucky star." Mu Yan breathed a long sigh of relief. She doesn't know who her master wants to cure. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with her, right? But she doesn't know why. When she heard that the poison was detoxified, she felt inexplicably relieved. "By the way, Master, who was poisoned by the parasite in your mouth?" Han Chujo humphed and said, "Isn't it that group of bastards? They bully Master happily on ordinary days, but at the critical moment, don't they still need to rely on Master to save them?" That little expression was really indescribable, like a villain intoxicated by success. His bright eyes and bulging cheeks, the more she looks, the more childish and cute he becomes. Mu Yan's line of sight falls on the white beard on his mouth. Strange, why does the corner seem to be raised? And the skin under it becomes more and more white and smooth, and it looks particularly good. Mu Yan's hands itch, she can't help but pinch the raised beard and pull it. Tear. Han Chujo is dumbfounded. Mu Yan is also dumbfounded. "Jiu Master." Mu Yan blinked her eyes. "Are you really my Master Medicine King? You're not the grandson of Medicine King in disguise, right?" Han Chujo only felt like a bolt from the blue. The sky is spinning, and she can't wait to faint. He was discovered. His precious apprentice found out his true face. Aw, 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 aw. It's over, it's over. His precious apprentice must not want him anymore. What if his precious apprentice is taken away by those bastards in the polar domain and that peacock Di Mingju? Then, Mu Yan looks at her Jiu Master, who has been pretending to be an immortal for several days. Like a grasshopper on a frying pan, he jumped around in the inheritance space. He kept muttering things like, "Flower peacock, precious disciple, can't be taken away." Mu Yan simply doesn't know whether to laugh or cry. With great difficulty, she managed to calm her ninth master down. Han Chujo seemed to have realized something, so she coughed and showed her sage-like face again. "It's just that, now that there's no white beard and white hair to cover him up, and Mu Yan has just seen his true face. Seeing him like this, she couldn't help but laugh. Ahem, ninth master, you said you're over 1,000 years old. Then why does he still look like a teenager? Especially this round face, round eyes, and chubby little hands." Cough. She looked even cuter than little Seven. It made people want to pinch that round face unconsciously. Han Chujo gritted her teeth and said, "It's because of that damn curse." Curse? Mu Yan stares blankly at first. Then, his pupils constricted. She is not unfamiliar with this word. When her third brother's illness broke out, her eldest brother said that he was under a curse. But when Mu Yan asked what the curse was, her fellow apprentices remained silent. Or perhaps, apart from her third brother, no one else knows about it. Chapter 2160. Now, she actually heard this curse from her Jiu Shifu. She doesn't know if these two curses are the same thing. Jiu Shifu, what is a curse? Han Chujo's face turned pale, but she immediately shook her head. "My good disciple, you don't need to know these dirty things. In fact, it's useless for you to know now. This is not something you can touch with your current cultivation." Mu Yan's heart shuddered. She swallowed back the question she wanted to ask. Jiu Shifu was right. If she doesn't have enough strength, even if she touched the secret, she will not be able to help her third brother and Zhou Shifu. In the end, she may even implicate the people she cares about. So, she changed the topic. Zhou Shifu, the people you saved this time, are they the people who bully you? Han Chuzhou coldly snorted, this old man doesn't really want to save them. They bully me, so of course, I want my disciple to defeat them. If I let them die so easily, wouldn't it be too easy for them? Mu Yan couldn't help but laugh out loud. Under Han Chuzhou's unhappy eyes, she held back her laughter. Yes, Zhou Shifu is right. This disciple will definitely avenge you in the future. Han Chuzhou remembered the words of the people in the polar domain, so she worriedly said, my good disciple, let me tell you, there is a peacock in that group. He is especially good at attracting girls. My good disciple, you must not let him steal your soul. We can't let that group of bastards recruit them. Mu Yan chuckled and said, Master, rest assured, I already have a fiancé. I don't like that peacock in your mouth. Who knows, when she said that, Han Chuzhou became unhappy again. You are so young, how can you have a fiancé? How can those ordinary people be worthy of you? Mu Yan, Han Chuzhou, hurry and dump him. Even if you choose that peacock, it's better than those ordinary people. Mu Yan. Wait. Zhou Shifu, do you really love or hate the peacock that bullied you? After recuperating, Mu Yan began to heal Chu Tianyu and Murong Shui. Although Murong Shui's injury was serious, it was not serious. Under Mu Yan's treatment and Long Ting's various elixirs, she recovered in about half a month. But Chu Tianyu's injuries were much more serious. His cultivation level dropped to the level of fasting. If that was all, it would be fine. At the very least, he could keep his life. But in the Dingwa manner, Chu Tianyu's lifespan and blood essence had been devoured by Chu Xinyan. Even his divine soul was damaged from forcefully activating the teleportation array. In the face of such a situation where her entire body and soul system were on the verge of collapse, Mu Yan was also somewhat helpless. In the end, he could only keep him immersed in, floating like a dream, to maintain the balance of his body for the time being. The core members of Team Qilin, Murong Shui, Duan Wenbin, Chu Yuanlei, Zhu Chongliang, and Jin Zhonghao, all stood before the unconscious Chu Tianyu's bed, their eyes filled with worry. We've always known that there are many things hidden in the captain's heart. But I didn't expect him to bear so much at such a young age. Duan Wenbin looks at Mayan and opens his mouth. In the end, because of the 6-starred order, he can't say that form of address. He can only say, Miss June, many thanks to your carefree team for disregarding our former enmity and rescuing our captain and Ah Shui. Mu Yan glances at them and says unhurriedly, who said that we don't care about past enmity? Who told you that this is free help? Ha! Chapter 2161. Luo Yu took a few steps forward and said with a smile, 1 life for 500,000 superior-grade crystals, a total of 1 million. Oh, that's just the money for saving a life from an out-of-body stage cultivator. As for the rest of the treatment fee, Murong Shui is 300,000 crystals. Chu Tianyu wasn't saved, so let's take it a little cheaper, 200,000. Thank you, 1,500,000 superior-grade crystals. Would you like to pay now or go back to raise the crystals together? The Qilin team, Zhu Chongliang coughed lightly. I'll pay for these crystals. He took out a stack of shiny notes. 1,500,000 superior-grade crystals are too big to store in the storage space. Can I use the Zhu family's common notes? The Zhu family was the richest in the Azure Blue realm. They were also the richest in the Purple Cloud realm, at least on the surface. The Zhu family's notes were the most widely circulated in the entire Purple Cloud realm. The Xiaoyao sect members stared at the notes he took out, their eyes wide. Duan Wenbin and the others said, "We can't let Chongliang pay for it alone. I'll pay 500,000 too." As they spoke, they took out a crystal note as well. "Isn't 1,500,000 crystals too little to buy the captains and my lives?" Murong Shui said with a smile. "How about this? I'll pay 1 million superior grade crystals as an extra thank you, handsome Luo Yu, for risking your life to save us." The Xiaoyao sect members, they slapped their faces and stared at the glittering crystal notes on the table, only to find that they hadn't disappeared. Instantly, they beamed with joy. Rich people. They didn't expect the young masters and young mistresses of the Qilin team to all look so weak. They didn't expect them to be so rich. And there was even the grandson of the richest man in the Purple Cloud realm. The people who had been indifferent to the Qilin team immediately put on warm and hospitable smiles. "What did you say? Old grudges? Grudges? Are you kidding me?" In front of such a thick golden thigh and sparkling crystal notes, there was no such thing. As they laughed, they saw Sun Yuanzhou, Zhou Daoyi, and the vice deans walk into the Tianlang Palace. The members of the Kirin team saluted and left. Zhou Daoyi also didn't exchange pleasantries, and went straight to the point, saying to Mayan, "Miss June, the Dear Cry banquet has already ended for more than half a month. Everyone's strength and power have long been recognized by the people of Divine Elephant City, and even the Purple Cloud realm. I wonder if any of you are interested in joining Dragon Soaring Academy." Mu Yan glances at her fellow apprentices, smiles, and doesn't say anything. Yun Ruhan stepped forward and said gently, "Thank you for your kindness, College Chief Zhou. However, we have already decided to return to the Starry School tomorrow." Zhou Daoyi, Sun Yuanzhou, and the others all looked regretful. Not to mention the relationship between Jun Mayan and Di Mingju. The talent of these people alone was something that had never been seen since the establishment of the Dragon Soaring Academy. Most importantly, in this team, Jun Mayan wasn't the only strong one, all 7 of them were very strong. Such power showed no signs of stagnation or slowing down. A month ago, there were only a few Jindan stage cultivators in the team, but now, all of them were at least at the 5th stage Jindan stage. Jun Mayan directly reached the peak of Jindan stage. How could such a rate of improvement not be shocking? The higher the cultivation of others, the slower their improvement, but it seemed to be the opposite for them. But seeing that they were determined to leave, he could only sigh. Chapter 2162. Zhou Daoyi was even more impressed by the Starry School's luck. A rundown school had actually picked up 7 treasures. Smiling, Kong Yuanzhou took out a universe bag and handed it to them. "This is your reward." Mu Yan was a little surprised. In reality, they had already asked Zhou Xiaoyu to bring the first prize of the Dear Cry banquet back to the Starry School. There were some cultivation manuals and medicinal pills that could advance one's cultivation. These things could be seen everywhere in the Purple Cloud world like trash, but that was only limited to the sects and clans. It was almost impossible for the people of the Azure Blue world to obtain them. Therefore, the people of the Xiaoyao sect were quite satisfied with this reward. As if sensing their confusion, Kong Yuanzhou said with a warm smile, "These things are to thank everyone for saving the students of my Soaring Dragon Academy, and even more to thank Miss June for leaving the Chaotic Tower in Divine Elephant City." The Chaotic Tower that already belonged to Mu Yan was now standing in the center of Divine Elephant City. Many cultivators went in to experience it and were overjoyed to find that they were improving rapidly. Especially the large sects and clans. After hearing about the Chaotic Tower's effects, they could not wait to send their subordinates and disciples over. However, only 100 people could enter the Chaotic Tower at a time. If one did not leave early, the cultivation would last 6 hours. Once they entered, no one would be willing to leave early. Therefore, even if the fee to enter the chaotic tower was 10 high-grade crystal stones, it was currently filled to the brim with people. It was unknown how long the queue would last. Yes. Mu Yan had the artifact spirit of the 6 Stars Tower, and tutor Longting helped to set up a crystal collection system for the chaotic tower. Longting's school would split the profits 20 to 80. She would take 80%, and Longting would take 20%. For Longting, this was not just a matter of income. Rather, the chaotic tower standing in Divine Elephant City under Longting's control would bring them countless benefits. After leaving behind the items, Kong Yuanzhou and Zhou Daoi stood up to leave. Seeing that they were about to leave, Mu Yan coughed softly and hurriedly took out a crystal bill. This is the compensation for my broken alchemy furnace. Kong Yuanzhou and Zhou Daoi looked at each other. Then, it was Kong Yuanzhou who laughed. Miss June, everything in Tianlang Palace belongs to the Emperor. If you want to compensate, you should compensate the Celestial Emperor with these crystals. Of course, there was no need to say whether the Emperor would accept it or not. Wasn't it just a matter of the left pocket going into the right pocket? Who knew that after listening to their words, not only was Mu Yan not happy, her face darkened instead. Because she remembers that before Di Mingju left, he whispered in her ear, "Yan Yan, besides these debts, you don't owe me anything else, right?" At that time, Mu Yan shook her head without thinking. She hears Di Mingju continue, "If there's any concealment, you'll have to pay the debt with your body. At that time, whatever Ben Jun tells you to do, you'll do it." Damn it, at that time, she was still thinking, other than secretly drawing naked men, she didn't owe anything, right? Therefore, she agreed without hesitation. Who would have thought that this bastard was actually waiting for him here? Azure Blue World, Starry School. Meng Baichuan flipped through the cultivation manuals and pills Zhou Xiaoyu had brought back. He was so excited that his hands were trembling. That's great, that's great. With these things, the Starry School's power will increase in a short period of time. You've done well, you've done too well. Tears flowed down from his eyes. These were tears of excitement and happiness. Chapter 2163. Meng Baichuan had grown up in Starry School since he was young. After graduating, he also stayed in Starry School. Now that so many years had passed, he could be said to have taken root in Starry School and devoted his entire life to it. Before Di Yudao, every college chief of Starry School had done their best to make Starry School stronger. They wanted to make Starry School the top school in the Azure Blue World, but they had never succeeded. But now, with these cultivation manuals and elixirs, there was a chance that all of their dreams could come true. Hearing Meng Baichuan's praise, Zhou Xiaoyu scratched his head awkwardly and said, "Our Tianshu team didn't do anything and was eliminated after the first round. To have such a result, it's all because of Team Carefree." Zhou Xiaoyu almost blurted out the word monster. He really couldn't be blamed for his slip of the tongue. Team Carefree was really too strong. Not to mention Jun Mayan, that monster. The other members of Team Carefree were also freakishly strong. Who would have thought that they would be eliminated in 1 or 2 rounds? In the end, they actually became the most dazzling sun in the entire Deer Cry banquet. Even Team Qilin, known as the undefeated legend of Dragon Soar, had lost to them. Right, it's all thanks to Jun Mayan and the others. Right, where's Team Carefree? Meng Baichuan asked Zhou Xiaoyu excitedly. We have to prepare a celebration feast. They're the biggest contributors to Starry School. Zhou Xiaoyu scratched his head again. I don't know either. Since the last battle with Team Qilin, I haven't seen them. Meng Baichuan was confused and was about to ask. A servant beside Meng Baichuan hurried in and said with a panicked expression, "College Chief Meng, bad news, bad news." "What is it?" I heard in Tianluo City. I heard that Dragon Soar School offered great conditions to keep Team Carefree, especially Jun Mayan. I think Team Carefree will probably not come back to Starry School." Meng Baichuan's eyes widened. The smile on his face hadn't faded yet, but now it froze into astonishment. Then, this astonishment slowly turned into helplessness and bitterness. He forced a smile and said, This is normal. As long as the people from Dragon Soaring Academy aren't stupid, they can see how talented those kids from Carefree Team are. Staying in the small starry school would only bury their talents. It's good for these children to go to Longting. When he first said these words, Meng Baichuan's heart was filled with indescribable bitterness. But as he spoke, he slowly convinced himself. After hearing Zhou Xiaoyou's description, as well as what the 7 of them had done in the azure blue world, Zhou Xiaoyou's eyes widened. Meng Baichuan knew that their cultivation had long surpassed his, as well as all the teachers and students of the Starry School. What else could these 7 children learn by staying here? Only by going to the Soaring Dragon could they grow faster and better. "Principal Meng, Principal Li of the Spiritual and Martial Arts Academy wishes to see you." Meng Baichuan had just calmed himself down when he heard his subordinate report that Li Wenyuan had arrived. He couldn't help but frown. What is he doing here? Tianluo City. A handsome young cultivator was sitting in a corner near the window of the complete Shirquan Inn. The young cultivator's appearance was truly outstanding. He exuded a calm and reserved aura, so much so that the gazes of many female cultivators in the inn unconsciously gathered on him. Chapter 2164. However, he didn't seem to feel anything. He continued drinking and looking out the window. Opposite the young cultivator sat a burly man. If one looked closely at his eyebrows and bones, he was actually only 25 or 26 years old. However, because he was covered in muscles, he looked like a middle-aged man at first glance. "Oh Yang, you." The burly man looked at the handsome young man and hesitated. Let's not wait here every day. The person you're waiting for won't come." Yang Qing turned to look at him but didn't say anything. A pretty female cultivator walked up shyly and handed an exquisite tassel to Yang Qing. "Senior brother Yang, I've liked you for a long time. It's okay if you don't like me, but can you please accept this love knot that I made myself?" Yang Qing didn't even look at her and said coldly, "No." The merciless word made the female cultivator, who had finally mustered the courage to give the gift, blush. Tears of humiliation welled up in her eyes. The female cultivator's companion couldn't stand it anymore. "Junior sister, I told you long ago that Yang Qing is a shameless homosexual. Why do you like such a disgusting man?" Bang! Before Yang Qing could speak, the burly man sitting opposite him, Fan Ting, had already fiercely slapped the table and shouted, "Who are you calling shameless? Who are you calling disgusting? Do you believe I won't tear your mouth apart?" The male cultivator was shocked and took a few steps back. However, seeing his junior sister staring at Yang Qing in a daze, unspeakable anger and jealousy surged in his heart. He gritted his teeth and raised his voice, shouting, "Did I say anything wrong? Starry School's pride, Yang Qing, is with a man. Who in the azure blue world doesn't know?" This time, the attention of everyone in the inn was attracted by the male cultivator. Many strange gazes fell on Yang Qing. Whispers could be heard from time to time in the corners of the Whole Foods Inn. Many of them were obviously malicious. The male cultivator's expression involuntarily became somewhat smug, as well as an even deeper resentment. It's one thing for senior brother Yang to fall in love with a man, but in the end, that man was too outstanding and went to the Purple Cloud realm, never to return. Right now, not only does the entire Azure Blue world know that senior brother Ouyang likes men, they also know that you've been dumped by a man. Fan Ting was so angry that he was about to explode. A huge axe suddenly appeared in his hand, and his eyes looked as if they were about to spit fire. What did you say? I dare you to say it again. The powerful spiritual energy fluctuations caused quite a few people in the inn to cry out in alarm as they retreated. The abilities of the Starry School's Tianshu Institute students were not to be underestimated. Fear also appeared on the male cultivator's face, but he still tried to act tough and shouted, Ouyang Qing, say something. Did I say something wrong? Didn't you just get dumped by Ling Yuxing from Team Carefree? But isn't it normal for you to be dumped? Look at the status of Team Carefree now. They are geniuses that even the Golden Elixir Realm cultivators of the Purple Cloud Realm are trampled under their feet. How can you, Ouyang Qing, be worthy of them? In the past, in a lousy place like the Azure Blue world, I saw that I couldn't make a name for myself, so I came to seduce you, young Master Ouyang, to build a springboard for myself. Now that this springboard is useless, and he has soared to the sky. Do you still expect him to come back and find you? Chapter 2165. The pretty female cultivator saw that Fan Ting's eyes had already condensed a substantial killing intent. She quickly pulled the male cultivator, Senior brother, don't say it. I won't allow you to humiliate senior brother Ouyang like this. Her eyes were still full of tears. She looked at Ouyang Qing and said firmly, Senior brother Ouyang, I know you still can't forget Ling Yuxing. But I heard that they have already entered the Soaring Dragon and will never come back to the Blue World again. No matter how long it takes senior brother Ouyang to forget that person, I am willing to wait for you. After saying this, the pretty female cultivator looked at Ouyang Qing with a bit of expectation in her tearful eyes. She thought that she would still get a cold and cruel response. But she didn't expect that the moment she raised her head, the cold face of the man in front of her suddenly seemed to melt like ice and snow, and slowly bloomed into a brilliant smile. The female cultivator was stunned for a moment, and her heart was pounding. She opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but she heard an elegant and indifferent voice behind her. Why didn't I know that the Carefree team would never return to the Blue World? Why didn't I know that I dumped Ouyang Qing? The female cultivator's delicate body shook, and she suddenly turned her head to look. All the people in the Whole Foods Inn turned their heads in shock. Then, they saw a scene that they would never forget in their lives. They saw several young boys and girls coming in one after another. The leader was a handsome young man like a slender bamboo. He had androgynous facial features. Even if he dressed up as a beautiful woman, there would be no sense of femininity. But at this time, in the eyes of the people, there was no trace of femininity, only a heartwarming leisurely rustling. He was the Carefree team's Flaming Gale, Ling Yuxing. Behind Ling Yuxing was the leader of the Carefree team, the eldest senior brother of the Carefree school, One Sword Mountain Sea, Yun Ruhan. The gentle young man sitting in a wheelchair, Silver Bow Magic Arrow, Chu Moli, shaking Mount Tai, Qin Zhou pushing the wheelchair, Raging Flames Wild Saber, Ling Yuma in red, and Thousand Hands God, Lan Luoyu, who looked like a cute boy next door. And, at the end, there was a beautiful girl who walked slowly into the inn, but instantly attracted everyone's attention. Beautiful Killing God, and She-Devil, June Mayan. The entire Whole Foods Inn had fallen into a deathly silence. Everyone stared blankly at the 7 people who walked in. They didn't know if they were intimidated by the powerful aura of these people, or if they were scared silly. For a long, long time, no one made a sound. It was not until Ling Yuxing passed by the pretty female cultivator and her senior brother that the two suddenly came back to their senses. Ling! Ling Yuxing, aren't you staying in Dragon Ascension and not coming back? The female cultivator couldn't help but exclaim. Ling Yuxing ignored him and walked up to Ouyang Qing with a faint smile. Big brother Qing, I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. There seemed to be flames dancing wildly in Ouyang Qing's eyes. He stared at the youth in front of him, wishing he could pull him into his arms and fiercely declare his sovereignty. These days, his ears were filled with people saying, the carefree squad won't come back. No matter how firm and confident he was, he couldn't help but waver. His Xiao Xing had grown so fast that she had gradually grown together with the carefree team to a point where he could no longer reach. Would such an outstanding Xiao Xing really belong to him? Would she still stay for him? Until this moment, when Ling Yuxing's handsome face appeared in front of him again, his heart was still full of confusion and uncertainty. Chapter 2166. There was even careful panic. It was as if he was afraid that all of this was just a dream. If he didn't fiercely touch it to confirm, he wouldn't be able to prove that the dream wouldn't shatter. But he couldn't. Right now, in front of everyone at the Complete Foods Inn, every member of the Carefree Squad was a hero praised by everyone in Azure Blue Realm, an idol worshipped by everyone. How could he taint Xiao Xing's reputation because of his own selfishness? Just as this thought flashed through his mind, Ouyang Qing suddenly felt a hand wrap around his neck. He had no choice but to lower his head. Then, a familiar cool breath and soft, cool lips landed on his lips. It was as if a fluttering butterfly in his most beautiful dream had suddenly landed on the tip of his heart. The kiss was only a touch away. Under everyone's gazes, Ling Yuxing turned around and looked at the senior brother and sister. Is this enough to prove that I haven't dumped brother Qing? If not. No, it's enough, it's enough. The pretty female cultivator's face was flushed red, and she waved her hands repeatedly. But strangely, her face wasn't filled with jealousy or sadness, but rather with inexplicable excitement. It was as if she couldn't bear something and was about to faint. She'd just been completely heartbroken. Logically speaking, she should be sad and pained. But for some reason, when she saw the green bamboo-like youth kiss the lips of a handsome man, all the blood in her body seemed to be burning, and she almost let out a scream. Only then did Ling Yuxing let go of Ouyang Qing. His gaze swept across everyone present. Since it's enough, then please remember, don't covet other people's belongings, especially mine. As soon as he loosened his grip, a pair of large hands grasped his hand tightly in the palm of his hand. Ling Yuxing blushed and was about to pull back. He heard Ouyang Qing whisper in his ear, other people's belongings. My people. Ling Yuxing's face was so red it looked like blood was about to drip out. He stammered, I didn't mean that. Brother Qing, I didn't think of you as. Before he could finish, Ouyang Qing had already pulled him into his arms. A hoarse voice filled with indescribable sorrow and joy rang in his ears, causing the bashful Ling Yuxing to instantly stop struggling. Little Xing, I'm so happy. I've never been so happy in my life. At this moment, I can finally believe that the nightmare I created for you has disappeared. We missed so many years, almost a lifetime. Now, he could finally start anew. Fan Ting watched from the side as the two embraced each other, and a silly smile appeared on his face. He put away the giant axe in his hand. But just as he put away the giant axe, he heard the pretty female cultivator's senior martial brother say in a voice that only the people next to him could hear, Bah, to put it bluntly, isn't he gay? Men and men, how disgusting. Little junior sister, let's go. Aren't you afraid that your eyes will rot from watching such a filthy scene? The pretty female cultivator glared at him in disgust before turning around and walking away, ignoring him. Hearing this, Fan Ting immediately became angry. The giant axe once again appeared out of thin air, and he ruthlessly swung it towards the male cultivator. Ah! The male cultivator screamed in pain. Blood immediately gushed out of his left arm, and he screamed like a pig being slaughtered. Murder! Starry School murder, help! Chapter 2167. He hurriedly took out some pills and finally stopped the bleeding. He immediately shouted at Fan Ting, "How can you Starry School people be so overbearing? Junior sister and I were already preparing to leave and you still wanted to kill me. Everyone, please be the judge. What I said just now was because I didn't know. Even if I was wrong, I'll just apologize to the Xiaoyao team. But they actually attacked me without even asking the right and wrong. Can Starry School do whatever they want just because they have the Xiaoyao team? Will there be no place for us cultivators in the azure blue world in the future?" These words caused everyone in the inn to look at each other in dismay, revealing expressions of bewilderment. Only the female cultivator, Fan Ting, and Ouyang Qing heard what the male cultivator said just now. The male cultivator relied on the fact that others couldn't hear, so he unscrupulously distorted the truth and accused the victim first. Fan Ting was about to go crazy. But he was clumsy and didn't know how to argue. In an instant, his entire face turned red. What? Did I hit the nail on the head? The male cultivator became more and more unscrupulous. His eyes were full of hatred as he shouted, "Just because Starry School has the Xiaoyao team, you can harm innocent cultivators? Just because the Xiaoyao team is strong, you can do whatever you want. You did this." Smack! A foot stepped hard on the male cultivator's face, interrupting him. The male cultivator only felt a boom in his head. His skull felt like it was about to be broken. He was dizzy and his stomach churned, but he couldn't even make a sound. When he finally recovered, he realized that Qin Zhou's foot was pressing on his head. He was the one who stepped on him just now. Leng Yuma and Luo Yu, on the other hand, each held a dagger that shone with a cold light, and waved it around his body. They seemed to be trying to figure out where to start. As for Mu Yan and the others, they already had their loyal support. They ran over and carried chairs for them. The one who served the tea brought the tea. Even the innkeeper of the whole food and had recovered from his shock, and was shouting from behind, "I've heard that the great god June likes our shop's money spinning silk the most. Hurry up and prepare it." As for the other guests in the inn, they did not stand on his side as the male cultivator had imagined. Instead, he went in front of Leng Yuma and Luo Yu. Dealing with this kind of trash will dirty the hands of the great gods. Why don't we do it for you? Seeing Leng Yuma and Luo Yu raise their heads, the few of them looked as though they were about to faint from excitement. We are die-hard supporters of the Carefree Squad. No matter where the Carefree Squad is, we will support them unconditionally. We will never betray them. However, the unfettered Seven Devils. Cough, cough, cough. It's great that the unfettered Seven Devils can return to the azure blue world. Woo woo woo. The male cultivator couldn't believe what he was seeing and hearing. Ignoring the tumbling in his stomach and the dizziness in his head, he screamed, "What's wrong with you? Are you just going to watch the unfettered Seven Devils kill the innocent and do whatever they want?" But as he spoke, he was still scared. His voice trembled, June Mu Yen, you all commit outrages and are unreasonable. Aren't you afraid of losing your reputation? Even if what I said before was wrong, but that was everyone's guess. If you all feel unhappy, I will apologize to Ouyang Qing and Ling Yuxing. Mu Yan hooked her finger at him. Chapter 2168. Immediately, someone pulled the male cultivator in front of Mu Yan. As he got closer, the male cultivator realized that the girl in front of him was so beautiful. His favorite junior sister was probably not even 1/10,000th of this girl's beauty. The male cultivator suddenly grabbed her and asked her questions. It was because in the carefree troop, she was the only girl who looked like a weak girl. As for Lang Yuma, the most arrogant and tough person in the entire carefree troop, no one treated her as a woman anymore. Girls like her were usually soft-hearted and compassionate. Thinking of this, the male cultivator's eyes welled up with tears, as if he had been greatly wronged. It was that person who hurt me with the giant axe first. What did I do wrong that I have to be tortured and humiliated like this? You are the idols of all the cultivators in the azure blue world. Are you going to hurt innocent cultivators indiscriminately? At the side, Fan Ting's chest heaved up and down with anger. It was you said it first. Mu Yan raised her hand, gesturing for him to stop talking. Fan Ting could only retreat sullenly. Seeing this, the male cultivator was overjoyed and acted even more pitiful. Mu Yan takes a sip of tea and says unhurriedly, "You want to reason with us?" "Yes," the male cultivator said. "In this world, there will always be injustice, but you also said that we are the carefree 7 demons." Mu Yan twirled the teacup in her hand. The smile on her face was lazy and beautiful, able to steal people's souls. "Since you are demons, then what reason is there?" "I'm sorry, in this world, only what we are willing to talk about is reason." The male cultivator's eyes widened, the infatuation on his face turning into fear and anger. How can you do this? You are a girl, shouldn't you be kind and merciful? How did you become so cruel and merciless? Have you been led astray by them?" Pfft. Someone could not help but laugh. Where did this idiot come from? Has he not even heard of God June's nickname? I think he just came from Green Flame City. He wanted to enter Starry School but was eliminated, so he went to Lingwu. The male cultivator's eyes widened in fear as the surrounding voices rushed into his ears. "Idiot, haven't you heard who destroyed the 4th great aristocratic family of the Azure Blue Realm, the Tian family? Who killed the head of the Tian family, Tian Haiba? Do you know who is the most famous, the strongest, the most brutal, and the most intimidating in the entire carefree team? Don't you know June Immerse's name? Female demon, no, beautiful killing god. You actually had the guts to put on an act. You wept and pleaded with June Immerse. You even tried to reason with him. Ha ha ha. I have to say that I admire you for being such an idiot." The male cultivator stared blankly at the beautiful girl in front of him, only feeling his mind go blank, both his legs trembling. "I'm already a student of the Spiritual Martial Arts College. You beat me up for no reason. Aren't you afraid that the tutors of the Spiritual Martial Arts College will find you and the Starry School for revenge?" The smile on Mu Yan's face becomes brighter and brighter. "Oh. Really? In that case, he might as well kill him to silence him. At that time, the dead can't testify, and the Spiritual Martial Academy won't be able to do anything to us." The male cultivator's eyes widened in fear. Mu Yan continued, "After all, if I don't kill you, I won't be happy." Chapter 2169. In this world, there aren't many people who can insult the Xiaoyao school and still live in one piece. As soon as he finished speaking, an invisible pressure was suddenly released. The male cultivator felt like he had been thrown into an endless hell. In just a few breaths, he had experienced an endless nightmare. He breathed heavily, and his leg bones trembled. The smell of urine, accompanied by a yellow liquid, flowed out from between his legs. The crowd immediately dispersed in disgust. Some people even kicked the male cultivator more than 10 meters away. At this time, the pretty female cultivator finally mustered up her courage and walked to Mu Yan. No, it wasn't senior brother Ouyang's friend who hurt him on purpose. He secretly insulted senior brother Ouyang and Ling Yusheng, saying that they were gay and disgusting. That's why senior brother Ouyang's friend couldn't help but attack him. As soon as she said this, everyone looked at the male cultivator who was twitching on the ground with even more disgust. Most of them were idiots who supported the Xiaoyao school. They did not believe that their idol would hurt someone indiscriminately. Now, they were even more determined to believe it. It was indeed this idiot who provoked him first. In an instant, everyone's anger surged. They kicked the male cultivator and rained punches and kicks on him mercilessly. Mu Yan waved her hand and said with a bored expression, "Let's go back to Starry School." This idiot did not even have the right to be drawn by them. Moreover, Mu Yan's pressure just now had already caused his will to completely collapse. Unless he could break through his inner demons, he would not be able to improve in the future. It was just a dream for such a person to gather his strong will to break through his inner demons. The entire Tianluo city was stirred up because of the appearance of Mu Yan's group. With Shiguanin as the center, the news of the Xiaoyao school's return spread like the wind. However, the news had not reached Starry School yet. At the moment, the atmosphere in Starry School was rather bleak. They were surrounded by enemies. The veins on Meng Baichuan's forehead kept twitching. He glared at the middle-aged man in front of him and said, "Li Wenyuan, don't go too far. The three great academies have always minded their own business. Now, you've joined forces with several major sects and aristocratic families to besiege Constellation. What exactly do you mean?" Li Wenyuan, the dean of the Spiritual Martial Arts Academy, smirked. Greed flashed across his long and narrow eyes. "Dean Meng, we don't want to be so rude. You can only blame Headmaster Mei and the Starry School for being too greedy. The things won in the Deer Cry banquet were precious treasures for the progress of middle and low-level cultivators. As long as you're willing to share some, our three academies will be able to rise to a higher level. But who would have thought that you would be so selfish and refuse to share even the slightest bit? Didn't this incite public anger? I don't want to shed all pretense of cordiality, but for the development of Lingwu students, I have no choice but to do this." Bah! Don't you have any shame? The Golden Core mentor of the Starry School, Qi Ming, blushed and scolded. "If you really just wanted to share these cultivation manuals, why didn't you wait for me to finish comprehending them and make copies before borrowing them? Now that you've come so openly, it's obvious that you want to swallow Constellation's things." Li Wenyuan laughed. "These cultivation manuals and advancement pills are the treasures of the entire Azure Blue world. How can you say that they belong to Constellation?" Chapter 2170. Old Meng, it's not that I want to say this, but your teachers and students are too narrow-minded. That's right. Sect Master Zheng of a second-rate sect chuckled and said, "Our Azure Blue realm is one. As long as everyone is strong, then we will truly be strong. Chief Meng, you have good stuff, why hide it? Let's split it up and become stronger together. Then, we can help each other. Isn't that a good thing?" The elders of the Spiritual Martial Arts College, the other clan leaders, and the clan leaders all agreed. The Starry School teachers and students were disgusted by their, "for the sake of the world," expressions. These cultivation manuals were earned by the Starry Carefree team. What does it have to do with your clans or the Spiritual Martial Arts College? You want to sit back and enjoy the fruits of our labor just because you say we'll become stronger together. What right do you have to steal the cultivation resources that the Carefree team earned for us? How shameless are you? Some Starry School students could no longer hold it in and started shouting. In reality, they were disappointed that the Carefree team stayed in Longting and did not return. But more than that, they were grateful. Because everyone knew how rich the rewards of this Deer Cry grand banquet were. To the people of Starry School, these rewards were life-saving resources. With these manuals and pills, at least half of the Starry School could break through from the grain-fasting realm to the Golden Core realm. A whole half. Mu Yan's barrier-breaking talisman and barrier-breaking pill were actually prepared for the cultivation geniuses. They had encountered a real bottleneck. Once they broke through, they would be able to travel 1,000 miles. There were many differences in the azure blue world. Many cultivators were born with impure spirit roots. Even if they used spirit cleansing pills, they could not improve much. Even if they had reached the peak of grain fasting, they had also reached the end and could no longer break through. And the advancement pills that Longting had given him could assist these people in their breakthroughs. Golden Core cultivators who broke through like this could only be described as weak. In the Purple Cloud realm, it was usually the clans that allowed their untalented descendants to cultivate. But even a weak Golden Core was still a Golden Core realm. This was the lifelong dream of many cultivators in the azure blue world. Not to mention, those cultivation manuals were meant for those elites with talent. Some of them could help people quickly break through from the Golden Core stage to the nascent soul stage and even the early stage of the nascent soul stage. One could imagine that with these cultivation resources, Starry School would be able to rise rapidly in a short period of time. He would become the undisputed leader of the entire azure blue world. At that time, both Feng Tian and the Spiritual Martial Academy would be left in the dust. Li Wenyuan also knew this, which was why he teamed up with a few equally greedy clans to surround the Starry School and rob it. He would definitely not watch as the Starry School grew stronger. If he wanted to strengthen it, it should be the spirit martial arts that he, Li Wenyuan, controlled. You're saying that the Carefree Squad earned the cultivation resources for you? Li Wenyuan scoffed. But now, everyone knows that the Carefree team has already entered the Dragon Soaring Sect and is staying in the Purple Cloud realm, never to return. Who can prove that Carefree team belongs to Constellation? Since the Carefree Squad wasn't from Constellation, these cultivation resources naturally didn't belong to Constellation either. Don't you think so? Yes, yes. How can a small constellation afford to raise the geniuses of the Carefree team? Chapter 2171. The Carefree team doesn't belong to Starry School, so the cultivation resources naturally don't belong to Starry School. College Chief Meng, I think you should stop being so stubborn. Just take out the things and share them with everyone. If Starry School is in trouble in the future, the Wu clan won't just stand by and watch. Ha ha ha, the Zhang clan too. How can the Starry School be so petty? Meng Baichuan was so angry that his organs were trembling violently. Kai Shouzhong had already come out of seclusion. Even though he had already experienced a great disaster, his face was flushed with anger and his eyebrows and beard were trembling. What if we don't hand over the cultivation resources? He asked coldly. Li Wenyuan chuckled. I just said that these cultivation resources can strengthen the entire azure blue world. They don't belong to Starry School alone. Since they're important resources, they should belong to those who are capable. He pointed at the suzerains of the sects and aristocratic families beside him, and then pointed at the elders behind him. Principal Meng is narrow-minded and stubbornly refuses to share cultivation resources. Then, we can only challenge the students of Constellation's instructors. If Starry School wins, the resources will naturally belong to Starry School. If Starry School loses, then please hand over the things obediently. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. Meng Baichuan and Kai Shouzhong looked at the people beside Li Wenyuan, their hearts sinking bit by bit and becoming cold. This time, Li Wenyuan had clearly come prepared. There were a total of 9 families that he had invited. Most of the clan leaders were at the peak of the Golden Core realm. But there was also a middle-aged man with the surname Zhang. He was the clan leader of the Tiger's Howl clan and was in the first level of the nascent soul realm. On the spiritual martial arts school side, Li Wenyuan himself was a nascent soul cultivator and much higher than Meng Baichuan. Behind him, there were two elders of the spiritual martial arts school who had both reached the nascent soul realm. One of them was even at the same level as Kai Shouzhong. Looking at the Starry School side. Because of Di Yudao, the Starry School was in a difficult situation. Ning Yaoguang and Su Iluan had gone to the Woodfern Sea and had yet to return. In the entire Starry School, there were only 2 nascent soul cultivators and 3 at the peak of the Golden Core realm. How could such a lineup contend against these greedy, blood-sucking worms? In fact, if they completely fell out with each other, they might not just take away the resources won by the Carefree team and the 100-year foundation of the Starry School. Li Wenyuan looked at Meng Baichuan and Kai Shouzhong's expressions, and a pleased look flashed in his eyes. Dean Meng, have you thought it through? If he handed over the item now, it was still not too late to share it. When we really start fighting in a while, blades and swords have no eyes, and the situation will not be easily controlled. Meng Baichuan's eyes were ashen. He was filled with indignation, but in the end, he had no choice but to compromise. He let out a long sigh, lowered his eyes, and said hoarsely, "All right, I agree." Before he could finish his words, a loud and clear voice sounded in his ears. Isn't this Dean Li of the Spiritual and Martial Arts Academy? Did they know that we were coming back today, so they came over to welcome us?" Looking at the lineup of Dean Li and the various clan leaders, it seems that they not only want to welcome us, but also want to spar with us. Just right, just right. During this period of time, I've either been recuperating or rushing on the road. My broadsword is getting thirsty. Come, let's have a good fight. The entire place was dead silent. Chapter 2172. Then, they watched dumbfounded as the people they were familiar with, the people they had been waiting for, slowly landed in front of them. After an indescribable silence, there was a roar like a volcano eruption. Carefree team. Carefree team is back. God June, you're back. All 7 of you are back. Not one is missing. Sob, I thought. I really thought Carefree team would never come back. Those godlike people don't belong to Starry School anymore. The Starry School tutors were better off, only their eyes were red. The students, on the other hand, burst into tears. Their relationship with Carefree team was incomparable to others. When Starry School was still mediocre, it was Carefree team who led them to rise, making their name known throughout the entire Azure Blue world. When the people from the Tian family wanted to rob Carefree team, it was the teachers and students from Constellation who did not care about their own safety or their own weakness. They stepped forward bravely and stood in front of them without hesitation. When everyone in the Purple Cloud world looked down on the Azure Blue world cultivators, it was Carefree team who slapped everyone at the Deer Cry banquet. Now, the eagle that had grown up among them had spread its wings and flown high. They had thought that the eagle that had flown far away would never return. Unexpectedly, at Starry School's most dangerous moment, they had appeared again. The 7 stopped in front of Meng Baichuan and bowed. Greetings, College Chief Meng. Carefree team did not disappoint and returned to Starry School. Meng Baichuan's eyes reddened and tears filled his eyes instantly. He opened his mouth for a long time, but could not say a word. After a while, he choked out, Good, you are all good children, Starry School. Starry School is proud of you." Before he finished, tears rolled down uncontrollably. Meng Baichuan hurriedly turned and wiped them away, as if afraid of being discovered. Kai Shouzhong also stroked his beard and nodded, wiping his eyes from time to time as if he was not crying. On the other hand, Li Wenyuan and the others, who had been proud and arrogant just a moment ago, now looked like they had seen a ghost. Carefree team, the 7 of them had really returned. But how was this possible? With Starry School's strength and resources, the 7 of them were no longer of any use. They wouldn't be able to gain anything by staying here. It wasn't that there weren't any cultivators who had left the Azure Blue Realm in the past, but which one of them had managed to make it to the Purple Cloud Realm and come back? Even if he came back, he would just come back in glory and come back to show off before leaving. Only a fool would choose Constellation over Soaring Dragon, right? Li Wenyuan composed himself and said, "Miss June, everyone, I really didn't expect that you would grace my tiny Azure Blue world with your presence. It's our honor to be able to meet the elites of Longtang." Li Wenyuan did not believe that the members of the Carefree team would really abandon Dragon Ascension and return to Constellation, a small place where even birds wouldn't shit. Mu Yan and the others turned around and looked at him with a smile that wasn't a smile. "Dean Li, don't talk nonsense. Didn't you just say that you want to compare notes with Xingqian? The resources belong to whoever wins. Now, the 7 of us will represent Constellation. Either all of you come at me together, or you can pick your own opponents." These words not only ignored Li Wenyuan's provocation just now. Furthermore, he completely disregarded nascent soul cultivators and peak golden core cultivators like them. Chapter 2173. Everyone's faces turned green and white, looking a little ugly. If one were to ask who had the highest reputation in the Azure Blue world, it would definitely be the Xiaoyao 7. But no matter how high their reputation was, they were just a few kids, and none of them had broken through to the nascent soul stage. A few golden core kids dared to be so arrogant in front of more than a dozen nascent soul and peak golden core cultivators. Did they really think that they could do whatever they wanted just because they had a high reputation and the title of a young genius? Had Li Wenyuan not heard of the Tian clan being destroyed? Of course he had. But he didn't believe that this could be done by just the 7 members of the Carefree squad. At that time, the Xiaoyao team was only in the Anidia realm. Who would believe that they could kill Tian Haiba, who was in the nascent soul stage? Someone must have helped them. But as the rumors spread, it eventually became the Xiaoyao team's achievement. Li Wenyuan's face darkened. "Miss June, we came with good intentions. Our goal is to strengthen the entire Azure Blue world and help each other. Do you really want to fall out with us?" Luo Yu burst out laughing. "Strengthen the entire Azure Blue world. You might as well say you want to save the cultivation continent. If you want to share resources so badly, share your spiritual martial arts college and the Dragon Tiger sect's top secret books and rare pills." These words made Li Wenyuan and the others' faces turn even uglier. They shut their mouths and no longer said anything about strengthening the entire Azure Blue world. Their sanctimonious face made the Starry School people want to puke. Ling Yuma pulled out her long sword and snickered. "Shao Qi, why are you wasting words with these losers? Hurry up, I've been traveling for a few days and haven't had a good rest. Finish this quickly and get out of Starry School." Li Wenyuan was so angry that his face couldn't stop trembling. Ever since he became the spiritual martial arts college chief, he had never been humiliated like this. The calculation in his eyes had already turned into thick murderous intent. All right. Everyone, the juniors nowadays are arrogant just because they have some achievements. They've even thrown respect for their teachers to the back of their minds. Looks like Xingqian doesn't know how to teach at all, and that's why he's raised such ignorant scum. Li Wenyuan loudly said to the heads of the clans and sects, "Today, let's join forces and teach them a good lesson. We'll also let Xingqian know that it's a waste to leave those resources with them." The sect masters and family heads looked at each other. Some of them looked hesitant. But thinking of the rewards of the Deer Cry banquet, greed overshadowed fear and uneasiness. Principal Lee was right. It was just 7 brats. They had so many people and 4 original infant stage cultivators. How could they be afraid of them? Thus, they agreed loudly. When Meng Baichuan saw that these people actually wanted to attack Mu Yan's group of 7 shamelessly, he was instantly enraged. Fine, since you want to fight, Starry School's dean, Meng Baichuan, will fight. Before he could finish speaking, he was stopped by Mu Yan. Principal Meng, how can you use a butcher's knife to kill a chicken? Why don't you just watch the battle while drinking tea? After saying that, he pointed to a few students beside him. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and prepare some fruits and refreshments. How can the dean and mentors not have some entertainment while watching the battle? These students were stunned at first, then they laughed and dispersed. Not long after, they got a pile of snacks. This kind of operation that completely disregarded people made Li Wenyuan and the others angry to death. However, the facts prove that the fruits and refreshments were completely prepared for nothing. Chapter 2174. This was because this battle of 7 against a dozen had only lasted for 15 minutes. Before Meng Baichuan could finish his cup of tea, Li Wenyuan had already been hammered into the mud by Mayan. When he pulled his hair up, his face was covered in blood. He had lost a few teeth and a few patches of his hair had been pulled off. Seeing how the Lingwu Dean, who had always been awe-inspiring, was reduced to such a miserable state that was worse than a mangy dog, even the Starry School students who had just been applauding could not help but shudder. Brutal, too brutal. The other patriarchs weren't any better either. Not only were they hung up and beaten, but they were also tortured until they lost all their dignity. The Starry School people could not bear to hear the screams that sounded like pigs being slaughtered. Damn it! Just 15 minutes ago, Starry School was clearly bullied. Now, why did the Starry School students seem more like bullies who bullied the kind? They even sympathized with these high and mighty college chiefs and clan leaders. Who could they offend? Why did they have to offend the unfettered 7 demons? In the huge Tai Square, the 7 members of the unfettered team sat on the armchairs like bosses. Behind them stood a dense crowd of Starry School students. Occasionally, someone would go up to them to massage their shoulders, massage their backs, and pass them fruits and tea. In the meantime, the students behind them would even fight over whose turn it was to do these things. Not far away, in the center of Tai Square, more than a dozen people were hung upside down. They were the college chief, elders, clan leaders of a few clans, and the leaders of second-rate sections. These people were all stripped down to their underwear. Their hair was also shaved until they were bald. Their faces were bruised and their eyes were swollen. Their pitiful appearance could not help but make people shed tears of sympathy. They had already been exposed to the sun for 4 hours. At this moment, because they were hanging upside down, sweat continuously gathered on their foreheads like raindrops and flowed onto the stone floor. Kill me. Jun Mayan, the unfettered 7 demons, Meng Baichuan. If you have the ability, then kill me, kill me. Li Wenyuan's voice was already hoarse, but he was still yelling. Mu Yan put down the teacup and shook her head as she clicked her tongue and said, Dean Li, you've already howled for 4 hours and you're still not tired. Ha, don't worry, the Starry School is the most friendly and hospitable school. Why would we kill people so easily? Don't you think so? Yes. Nearly 10,000 students responded in a world-shaking voice. The few people who were hung upside down wished they could just pass out. Go to hell with the friendliest hospitality. Don't you feel any pain in your conscience after saying such words, she-devil? Wouldn't it hurt? Mayan's smile becomes even more languid and enchanting. Therefore, not only will we not kill you, but in a moment, my 3rd senior brother, a well-known painter of azure blue world, will use you all as a reference to paint a few peerless and lifelike paintings." Hearing this, the dozen or so people who were hung upside down all froze. Even the sweat that was flowing down like a stream seemed to have frozen because of fear. Even the most arrogant of them all, Li Wenyuan, was now pale with fright. Mu Yan continued, "Why do you all look so unhappy?" "Oh, I know. You must be afraid that your figures are not as graceful and charming as those of the Tian clan, afraid that they won't be as popular as the Tian clan." "That's true. If the sales of the dignified Lingwu College dean's portraits are not as good as the outdated Tian clan leaders, where will Dean Li put his face?" Chapter 2175. But you don't have to worry about this at all. First, my third senior brother's painting skills are getting better and better. I guarantee that his paintings will be more lifelike than before. People will be able to recognize you just by looking at your faces. Second, the clothes that my fifth senior brother prepared are also the most popular styles. They are definitely more enchanting and beautiful than what Master Tian and the others are wearing. Pfft. A Lingwu elder was so angry that he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. His eyes rolled back, and he really fainted this time. The expressions of the other patriarchs were even uglier than if they were to cry, and they wished they could pass out as well. Li Wenyuan was really shriveled now. His voice trembled as he pleaded, What do you want? Just say it, I'll promise you anything. Just don't draw me that kind of painting." Yes, we're also willing to do anything. Miss June, God June, Madam, we're begging you. We know we were wrong, we admit defeat, and we're willing to accept any punishment. But that painting, please, don't draw it for us. Everyone present had seen the Tian family's unsightly paintings. When they looked at others, they could even gloat. But as soon as they imagined themselves, those immoral clothes, those unsightly postures, they couldn't help but want to die immediately. No. Even if they died, they couldn't embarrass themselves like this. Li Wenyuan even looked at Meng Baichuan, who was watching the show and drinking tea. "Old Meng, Dean Meng, I was wrong. Please ask them to spare me. I'm willing to agree to any conditions. Lingwu's database will all be shared with you. I'll give you all the elixirs and materials." Sob. Meng Baichuan's hand that was holding the teacup trembled. Li Wenyuan became the dean at almost the same time as Di Yudao. He was such an arrogant person back then, daring to disrespect Dean Feng Tian, Xing Danqing, and Di Yudao. Now, he was crying tears and snot in front of him. Obviously, he was really scared. Meng Baichuan patted his little heart in fear and glanced at the 7 members of the carefree team. Fortunately, these 7 monsters were students of Constellation. Although he sympathized with Li Wenyuan, Meng Baichuan would not make a decision without Mu Yan and the others. Yun Ruhen, on the other hand, stood up and made the final decision. "Let's do it this way. All your paintings of beauties will be redeemed according to Principal Li's standards. Everyone, disperse. Go back and have a good rest. If there's anything else, we'll talk about it in 2 days." Luo Yu was a little unsatisfied. "You're letting him go just like that. He had just thought of a few postures and wanted to try them out." Yun Ruhan looked at her coldly. "Lan Shaoqi, have you forgotten about the matter of you not returning at night?" Luo Yu's hair stood on end. It wasn't just Luo Yu. The other members of the Xiaoyao sect all looked guilty, and didn't dare to look at Yun Ruhan. Even the fruit in Mu Yan's hand trembled and almost fell. During this trip to the Purple Cloud Realm, they had all promised eldest senior brother that they would keep a low profile. In the end, she was the one who didn't keep a low profile. Eldest senior brother isn't going to settle the score, is he? As a result, the unfettered 7 devils, who had bullied the pitiful Li Wenyuan and the others a moment ago, immediately stepped on their flying swords and returned to the Yaoguang branch. Late at night, the entire starry school was quiet. However, the Yaoguang branch, which was supposed to be empty, was crowded with thousands of people. These people wore the same clothes and had the same bright eyes, looking at the absolute beauty standing in front of them. Chapter 2176. Following which, they knelt down in unison. The Nether Flame Army greets Miss. Greetings, young master. Mu Yen smiles and glances at Xiao Bao. With a taut face, Xiao Bao waved his hand. Other than the four leaders, Yan Haotian, Bai Chen, Ru Yan, and Feng Haitang, the others followed Xiao Bao to another square without the slightest hesitation. There, the training arrayed disc that Mayan had specially asked youngest martial uncle for had already been set up. The principle of this formation plate was somewhat similar to the blood slaughter sword formation, but it was not mainly used to train sword techniques. Instead, it was used to train military formations and tactics. Mu Yan looks at them with gentle eyes. You've done very well during this time. Yes, the Nether Flame Army really did a good job. He did not think so when he was in the Ziyun realm. When she returned to the Azure Blue world, Mu Yan discovered that the Nether Flame Army, or rather, the Black and Red Nether Flame, had already infiltrated every corner of the Azure Blue world. In the Mercenary Guild, she saw that the mercenary group called Inc. had already risen to second place in the Mercenary Guild of the Azure Blue domain. Moreover, they were only a few hundred points away from the top mercenary group. In the Whole Food Inn, she saw that the entrance and the pillars were engraved with inconspicuous black-red flame symbols. Even the hooligans, street children, and entertainers who were running around had the symbol of the death flame on their clothes and accessories. Mu Yan even had a misconception that the entire Azure Blue world, other than those great families, sects, and the three great academies, seemed to have been completely occupied by the Nether Flame Army. And just now, she saw the core army of the Nether Flame Army again. Their cultivation might not have improved by much, but their imposing manner and the murderous aura that had been tempered through blood and fire. They could all prove how strong they were now. If these Nether Flame Army soldiers were to face a high-level cultivator one-on-one, they would definitely die. But if it was 100 versus 10, they would have a 50% chance of winning. If it were 1,000 against 100, then high-grade cultivators would be slaughtered like vegetables. Logically speaking, a golden core cultivator against a Nidia cultivator should be able to kill 10 of them easily. This was the difference between an army and a rogue cultivator. Mu Yan's praise made Yan Haotian and the others reveal happy smiles. After that, they reported the progress of this period of time to Mu Yan one by one. Just as Mu Yan thought, with the help of the wealthiest Zhu family in the Azure Blue world, as well as the Nalan family and several other great families. The development of the Nether Flame Army in the Azure Blue world could be described as advancing by leaps and bounds. Up until now, even Nalan Qing and the others didn't dare underestimate this rising power. However, even if they occupied the Azure Blue realm, it would still not be easy to advance into the Purple Cloud realm. The biggest problem was that the overall cultivation of the Nether Flame Army was too low. Almost every one of them relied on Mayan's elixirs to ascend. And the side effect of this kind of ascension was that, except for a few people, the fasting stage was almost their limit. On this point, even Mu Yan was helpless. Her talismans and pills could help them refine their bodies and purify part of their spirit roots. But at the end of the day, it was impossible to turn a mortal who could not cultivate at all, or a cultivation loser, into a cultivation genius. TSK, who said he can't? Isn't it because you're useless? You have the heaven-defying skills of a Shin musician, but you can't put them to good use. Qi Huang's arrogant voice suddenly rings in Mu Yan's mind. Mu Yan was startled. She didn't care about this guy's infuriating words. Chapter 2177. Mu Yen quickly asks, "What do you mean? Is it that as long as I complete the second restoration of the Tian Emo Qin, I can activate the medicine skill and help them advance?" Qi Huang hums, "Give me all the crystals that the little medicine king gave you, and I'll tell you." Mu Yan's mouth twitches. The crystals that the medicine king gave her were said to be a thank you gift from the poison peacock. There are no less than millions of high-grade crystals. And what's even more valuable is that the quality of these high-grade crystals is a lot better than the ones in the Shuzhen continent. Mu Yan believes that if she were to exchange them, it might not be a 1-to-1 ratio. When she received these crystals, Mu Yan was simply overjoyed. She couldn't wait to hug Master Xiao Jiu and give him a few kisses. Plus those suckers of the Qilin team, the 2.5 million that the local tyrants gave her, and the additional reward from Dragon Soar Academy. Mu Yan suddenly went from being destitute to being rich again. She didn't expect that Qi Huang, this insatiably greedy brat, had already set his eyes on her. 30%. She grit her teeth in pain. 30% is too little. Do you think I'm a beggar? At least 80%. 50%, if you don't want to say it, then so be it. I don't believe that I can't figure it out after the Tian Emo Qin is restored. Qi Huang is still somewhat unwilling, but he finally compromises. TCH, 50% is 50%. This broken low-grade crystal, do you think this sage cares about it? If you don't care about it, then give it back to me. No, this sage needs it. Qi Huang hums, after the second stage of the Tian Emo Qin, your Shin musician skills will advance to the 7th rank, and you'll be able to choose the direction of improvement. Choose the direction of improvement. Correct, the first 6 stages of the Shin musician skills are all leveled up equally. But after reaching the 7th level, the choice of which skill to improve is up to you. The condition for improvement is the energy contained in the Tian Emo Qin. If the energy is exhausted and you want to continue to improve, you'll have to collect it yourself. Mu Yan looks pensive. If that's the case, wouldn't the Shin musician skills that she can master slowly decrease in the future? After all, those skills that haven't been upgraded, because their levels are too low, can't cause harm to cultivators of the same rank or higher. Even if they are upgraded, it's useless. As for the skills that were chosen to be upgraded, they would probably become even stronger. Qi Huang continues, when the Shin musicians advance to the 7th rank, a lot of medicine skills will be activated. For now, don't worry about the others and focus on improving the rebirth skill. When the time comes, you will naturally be able to help your subordinates continue to advance. Mu Yan was overjoyed and nodded heavily. It seems that the search for materials to repair the Tian Emo Qin must immediately be put on the agenda. Mu Yan looked at Bai Chen and the other 3, you guys can focus on developing in the Azure Blue world first. I will think of a way to improve the cultivation of the Nether Flame Army. Yes, miss. None of them asked how they could think of a solution. After all, completely changing one's root bone was something that no one in the entire cultivation world had ever been able to do. But even if it was such an unimaginable promise, they still believed it without hesitation. Because the one who said those words is Jun Mayan. The next day, as soon as the Nether Flame Army left, Mu Yan immediately became a pauper again. Looking at his empty storage ring, he thought about the millions of high-grade crystals that Qi Xiaohuang had taken from him. Mu Yan only felt that her heart was dripping blood. The other people of the Xiaoyao sect wanted to give their crystals to their junior sister. But Mu Yan still refused. Chapter 2178. In reality, the entire Xiaoyao sect, including Yun Ruhan, were all wastrels. Whether it was a few low-grade crystals or tens of thousands of top-grade crystals, they could not even keep them for a month. Basically, it was all spent. Moreover, half of the expenses were spent on their only martial nephew, Xiao Bao. How could Mu Yan still have the nerve to accept their help? Although the people of the Xiaoyao clan were poor, the Starry School became rich overnight. The reason was obviously the money Li Wenyuan and the other clans had sent to buy the painting. The news of Lingwu College chief Li Wenyuan colluding with second-rate clans to force the Starry School to abdicate, only to end up coming home shorn, spread throughout the entire azure blue world. At this moment, almost everyone was clear about one thing. No matter whether the 7 from the Xiaoyao sect stayed in Starry School in the future, the Starry School would rise rapidly with the support of the 7. Recently, the Starry School was often surrounded by people wanting to see their idols, the Xiaoyao 7. Everyone thought that the Starry School would definitely be celebrating and indulging in debauchery. However, these people did not know that. The Starry School was frighteningly quiet now. All the students were cultivating with all their might. This was because the 7 who were countless times stronger than them had not relaxed for a moment since they returned. The horrifying power of the blood slaughter sword matrix created by Luo Yunxiao was also displayed in front of everyone. It made them realize that success and strength were not luck. Many people asked the Xiaoyao sect to borrow the lowest level blood slaughter sword matrix board. They wanted to become stronger even if they were covered in wounds. Some students were originally afraid of going deep into the Danyang mountain range to train, but now they went all out and entered one after another. Under the lead of the Xiaoyao 7, the Starry School students worshipped martial arts more and more. They believed that only by becoming stronger themselves was true strength. As a result, the Starry School's strength rose to a level that the other 2 schools could not catch up to in a short time. Of course, this was all in the future. While everyone else was cultivating, Jun Mayan, the number 1 of the Xiaoyao 7, was wandering around the Woodfern Sea. Is the 100-mile sound net reliable? While flying, Mu Yan complained, "You drew such a big circle, and you didn't even explain clearly what you lost. This is really making me look for a needle in a haystack. And Qi Shao Huang, didn't you say that as long as we get close, we'll be able to sense its existence? I've been flying for a few days, and you haven't even sensed a single hammer." Qi Huang's angry voice resounded in her mind. Can you blame me for this? The Tianmo Qin space is one of the firmest spaces in the world. Ben Zun's senses are shielded, so of course he can't sense it. Otherwise, why don't you let me come out now? As he spoke, he was eager to try. Don't. You better behave yourself. Mu Yan snappily stops him. I already have enough enemies. You also said that in the Shuzhen continent, you will cause some kind of fluctuation as soon as you come out. If I attract your enemies here, won't I be killed because of you? Qi Huang is so angry that he kicks the lawn in the space and turns his head to ignore her. Mayan is just about to go back after searching for a while. Suddenly, her gaze hardens, and the 7 absolute swords are unsheathed. The next moment, she sees a huge sea beast leap out of the Woodfern Sea, pouncing towards her. Chapter 2179. Before Mu Yan could raise her sword, she heard a cry behind her, "Be careful, miss." The 7 absolute swords fell almost at the same time as the cry. Roar! The sea beast let out a mournful cry and fell back into the sea. The blue sea surface was dyed red. Mu Yan withdrew the bloodless 7 absolute swords and turned in the direction of the cry. She saw a tall figure rushing over like a bolt of lightning. When he got closer, Mu Yan was surprised to find that it was someone she knew. Young Master Ning. It was young Master Suicide Ning Su, whom Mu Yan and the others had met in Cloud-Piercing City, where Ouyang Qing was. At that time, because this person's eyes were somewhat similar to her own, Mu Yan had some impression of him. Ning Su was surprised to see her, but then he smiled warmly. Miss Moo, I didn't expect to meet you here. Damn. She wondered what kind of grudge this guy had with the June family. Every time he saw Mu Yen, he would call her Miss Moo, and never use the word June. Mu Yen didn't mind, smiling. Why are you here, young Master Ning? Ning Su said solemnly, a few days ago, someone sensed an explosion of demonic energy near the Woodfern Sea. I heard the news, so I came to investigate. He paused, frowning slightly. There were indeed remnants of demonic energy in this sea, but it disappeared without a trace in an instant. This is clearly abnormal, so I wandered here for a few days to search for karma. Mu Yen was speechless. After parting with Ning Su, she had also heard of the reason why Ning Su had such a cruel nickname, Young Master Suicide. It was because he killed demons like flies, and as long as it was a demon, he wouldn't let it go. The lives of demons were like tofu to him. How dedicated was he to his work? He only heard that there was demonic energy in the Woodfern Sea, so he rushed over. He sensed traces of it and wandered around for a few days. Ning Su continued, Why are you here, Miss Moo? Although there aren't many sea beasts in the eastern region of the Woodfern Sea, they are very strong. If you go deeper, you won't be able to fight against them. Mu Yen thought about it. I'm looking for treasures. Ning Su was stunned. Treasure hunt. That's right. Mu Yen sighs, Young Master Ning, you also know that the consumption of true cultivation is enormous, and the crystal stones cannot make ends meet. If he didn't find some treasures, it would be hard for him to pass his days. I wonder if young Master Ning knows where I can find treasures? I don't care about elixirs or spirit trees. Ning Su stares blankly for a good long while before he takes out a Qianquan bag and hands it to Mu Yen. Miss Moo, I'm not good at identifying treasures. This is what I obtained after killing demons for several decades. If you don't mind. This time, it was Mu Yan's turn to be shocked. You're giving me what you've gained from killing demons for decades. Hey! Brother, I don't think I'm related to you in any way, right? Ning Su revealed an awkward expression and lowered his voice. I don't know why, but the moment I saw you, I felt that we were fated to meet. It's as if you're my long-lost sister. If you don't mind, these things. The person on the other side handed over the Qianquan sack again. Mayan stares blankly at the brows and eyes of the man in front of her that are similar to her own. Only after a long while does she push the Qianquan bag back. Ning Su immediately shows a disappointed expression. However, Mu Yan's next sentence makes his eyes light up all of a sudden. Chapter 2180. Since you think of me as a sister, don't call me Miss Moo. It's awkward. Just call me Mu Yen, Big Brother Ning. Big Brother Ning. Ning Su's stiff face blossomed into a brilliant smile. His facial features were deep as if they had been carved by a knife, and there was a hint of coldness in his eyes. Even though he had the same peach blossom eyes as Mu Yan's, they didn't have the slightest hint of charm. Instead, they carried a chilling indifference. But when he smiled, his entire face was like a black and white ink painting that had been dyed in color. His originally handsome features suddenly became bright and beautiful. He looked even more similar to Mu Yen. Mu Yen fell into thought. Could she really be related to this Ning Su by blood? Was it on her father's side or on her mother's side? Ning Su put away the Cosmos sack with some regret. The things Big Brother collected were all contaminated by the demon race. They really aren't suitable for you, Mu Yen. Suddenly, he seemed to think of something and sighed. It's a pity that Big Brother's cultivation has already surpassed the leaving aperture stage. Otherwise, I could enter the Woodfern's secret realm and bring back more treasures for you. That was a lot of information. First of all, Ning-Su's cultivation had already surpassed the leaving aperture stage. Was he a tribulation cultivator? Mu Yan hadn't expected that the big brother she'd casually met would be so strong. And what was the Woodfern's secret realm? The Woodfern's secret realm is a treasure trove that many people in the cultivation continent flock to. It opens once every 10 years, and the treasures inside far exceed the warehouses of a second or third-rate sect in the Purple Cloud realm. I also heard that Scarlet Flame Gold and Black Ghost Wood will appear this time. Even the first-rate families and sects of the Purple Cloud realm will send people to compete for them. Big Brother also went in 10 years ago. But it was mainly to kill a demon cultivator, so he didn't see much of the treasures inside. Mu Yan couldn't hear the rest of Ning-Su's words, because all she could hear was Qi Huang's clamor. Scarlet Flame Gold and Black Ghost Wood, those are the two. Those two are very likely to be the materials to repair the Sky Demon's Ether. Mu Yan was suspicious. Didn't you say you don't know what the materials to repair the Sky Demon's Ether will become? Stupid. I don't know what it will become, but I know the attributes of those materials. One was fire gold, and the other was iron wood. Just by hearing the names Scarlet Flame Gold and Black Ghost Wood, one could tell what they were. There's a high chance that it's them. June Mayan, go to the Woodfern's secret realm. You have to get in there and get that thing. Mayan's eyes brighten, her mood also somewhat agitated. Big Brother Ning, can I go to the Woodfern's secret realm myself? Ning-Su stared blankly and hurriedly said, Mayan, you mustn't go, it's too dangerous there. Besides, you won't be able to get in. Only after Ning-Su's explanation did Mu Yan understand. As it turned out, the Woodfern's secret realm was a place that only nascent soul cultivators could enter. Of course, there were many sects that used pills and secret arts to suppress the cultivation of leaving aperture realm cultivators so that they could enter the Woodfern's secret realm. However, that was only limited to the first to third tier of the leaving aperture realm. If he wanted to suppress his cultivation to the nascent soul stage, it would cause irreversible damage to his body. The gains would not make up for the losses. There were ways to suppress one's cultivation, but he had never heard of a method to falsely raise one's cultivation. Mu Yan was a little depressed. Although she was currently at the peak of the golden core stage. She had a perfect core and advanced to a perfect nascent soul. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.